I worked with Diddy as a professional dancer and
before making the band.
before making
I
the
remember.
band. Girl, I have PTSD from that.
I mean, one of the most memorable places I've seen you is in the Rock the Boat video.
That's when we got the news. And not really many details, but the only thing that we were told was that there was only one survivor and that person was a man.
Yeah,
But
that makes me also think though about your relationship with Laurianne.
thank you for creating a safe space because I think for me, I ran from it. What?
Hold on,
Yeah.
cancer, open heart surgery, back on tour. Like for you to be
Yeah.
able to work your way back onto a stage. And I also had to ask you who was gonna be your band.
Everybody check the phone, so I ain't got no choice but to prove that I ain't gonna fold under pressure. I'm just doing what I do. This is for everybody for the phone. I'm a make a believer to you.
Hi, you might remember me from Making the Band 3 Season 2.
I'm not
My people, my people, my people. Welcome to Storytelling with Dominique Renee, where I am telling my story and honestly also telling the story of those who I share some form of intersectionality with. That has become one of our faves here, huh? The interviews are becoming fan faves on storytelling, and honestly, not just fan faves, but also mine. Y'all have been asking and asking and asking, and your girl is delivering, okay? I have none other than Denosh Bennett on the other side of this intro. Okay? When I say it has been almost a year in the making, my girl has the schedule. Okay, she has the schedule. She's a busy lady. But it has always been her intention to get here with us, and I'm so very, very excited that it finally happened. I'm not gonna get in front of you and me and Denosh because it is a time, and it is the time that you requested, frankly. But I do want to make sure you know you should be subscribed. Like, share, tell your people come watch before you even get into it. Before you get your popcorn, your gushers, if you know, you know. Tell your people what we got going on over here in the Dominique Renee universe. I hope that you are able to get as much out of this interview as I did because, wow. Denosh, my Making the Band
Dominique.
sister.
Oh, hi, Mama.
Oh my goodness. Hi.
It's been too long.
I'm so excited to
I
be
know.
in this space with you, and it has been way too long.
I know.
It's been way
I
too
mean,
long.
you
Look,
didn't.
I'm so excited that my glasses are fogging up.
You got babies and you're doing things, and it's like it's
Yeah.
been a whole moment since we were together, and I don't even
Yes.
know how much longer. Actually, I think because you were living in New York, right? Or you were just no.
Yep. I was when I did the show, I was in
Yeah,
Maryland,
that's
but
right.
I'm
That's
from New
right.
York.
You're
Yep.
from
And
yes,
then
right.
I moved back to New York soon after the show to kind of keep pursuing
The
music.
career, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
left, and so I don't think we'd have connected. And then,
Yeah.
of course, social media, and I think we've been in touch on social media then
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty
For years. Yeah.
consistently for years. But
That's why I'm just so excited for us to be here, girl. These glasses are
I
giving me the
know.
business. Hold on.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take off. I
Okay.
have these things
You
that
want-
keep them closer to my face. I'm gonna see if that helps. Just keeping them at the
They're
tip of my
lovely
nose a little
frames,
bit.
by the way.
Thank you.
I
So
like.
we are here together.
We are here.
21 years later.
Can you
21
not?
years.
Are you kidding? Has
I'm
it
just
been that long?
21 years since we did that show.
Oh, oh. It was
Oh
a
my gosh.
lifetime ago. That was a whole lifetime
Yeah.
ago. Oh my gosh, so
Literally,
much has
literally.
happened. 21 years.
We've
That's
lived
wild.
lives.
We lived
Uh-huh.
lives.
And
Wow.
so
I
that's
can't even.
look,
And we were
that
baby.
is
I mean,
so
oh
young.
God. Yeah, you were a baby. I think I was the
Not
eldest. I know I was
I'm
the
like you saying you were a baby.
no, I mean like, I remember being one of the younger
Yeah,
contestants
yeah.
and
I was
I
I
was
was
like the
20.
oldest, I think. Yeah.
I
And
was
I yeah,
20.
I was late 20s then. Yeah, I think so.
God
They're
said, do
not
the interview with
decent to
no glasses.
Are you
Okay. And
sure?
that's what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
your face is glowing. God, you
Thank
haven't changed.
you.
You haven't changed. You haven't
I
changed. I
appreciate
know
that.
you extra grown, but
Come
yeah,
on,
you
come
look
on. And so I
great.
just want you to know I have been wanting to get into this space with you for so long. I'm so excited for so many reasons. Like,
Hmm.
flowers.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
were
bless you.
truly a big sister to me on that show.
Bless you.
And I
And
and
thank
I
you for
and I
saying
said that
that.
to you, at the
No,
time.
I know. I know.
I
I know.
absolutely saw you in that light. You came from so much. You were one of the
Hmm.
most experienced folks in the industry when we did the show. And so
Yeah.
for a
Hmm.
person like me, who was just coming from the hood and coming from college with no experience in the
That's
industry,
right.
I took tremendous value in interacting with you, hearing your story, learning about how to do the things because I had no formal training and no experience.
I mean, you had this insane amount of talent and heart and desire and like I don't know. I had so many people who mentored me in many different ways, and so for me it was a no brainer because I think yeah we were all on our own really. So I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
I
Oh,
was just
weren't
like
we?
oh she's so cute and her voice is ferocious and that was it. I loved you from day
Thank you.
one.
Yeah, ditto, ditto. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to obviously just go back to the beginning. I think learn we're gonna go all the places in this interview. And
Yes.
I want you to know that you are one of the most requested from my subscribers. Folks are like, "Where's
Lois.
Denosh? We want to hear from
Lois.
Denosh." And so I feel like this is going to satisfy
Ah.
many of
Oh my
your, my,
god.
our making the band
Yeah.
fans. It's really crazy how much of a cult following that show had that I could not have imagined that was going to be the case when I was, in that on we were on Green Street. I couldn't have imagined
Girl, you took me
at
back.
all.
Random thing that happened. I had an opportunity to come back to New York to visit a friend, and we were staying, and she happens to live in Tribeca. And I'm just like, oh my God, these streets so different. Like as much as it was like Tribeca. Did I say Tribeca? I meant Soho, like sort of just that
Mm-hmm.
border.
Yeah.
And anyway, but down where we were living, right? And so I had to go, and she's got a doorman and whatever, and I had to leave my bags there. So she already put my name down at the door. Anyway, long story short, he's like, "Are you like that Denosh?" And I'm like, "I'm just thinking he's making some reference to that my friend, you know." He's like, "Oh, you're Denosh, like my friend. We've been waiting for you." Child, he done took me back to making the band, and I was like, but, because yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had much experience in the recent years about that. And then I
Mm-hmm.
live in Europe now. So you do get people who were like back in the day were following it, but then there was such this
Absolutely.
big span of time where then it was just nothing and all the other new stuff was happening. And what I thought
Yeah.
was pretty much forgotten. We were forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh no, the people
anyways,
have
this
not
ran.
forgotten.
Oh
Let me
God.
tell you, the people have not forgotten. And so
Well,
it's so
you've awoken
interesting.
some of that.
Yeah, listen, storytelling is doing a thing, okay? And so I'm so excited to talk about your myriad of experiences in this industry, but I want to go back to the beginning.
Yes.
I would
Start
love
from the
to
beginning.
hear, yeah, like where are you from? Talk about your beginnings. Talk about, how you got into the industry, all the stuff that came before making the band.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised in Toronto. I'm Canadian, and um, I just, singing in church choir, no formal training. I didn't really formally train until I was about maybe 16 years old. I was just putting around Toronto music scene at the time, trying to get in, trying to get on, just trying to like figure out where do you go, where do you gig, and all that was really great experience for was sort of really great prep for being in New York, which that hustle was different, but I still think I took all the things from Toronto that I could with me because that's all I had. Like similarly to you, and you were like, I just came to New York and I didn't know nothing. I was green and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But some of my experiences were I was trained as a dancer, and there was this dream of like going to New York and being on Broadway. And I always admired the Fame School, which I later came to learn was LaGuardia, and actually met people who'd gone to that school. It was one of my favorite shows, and I wanted to be a professional dancer as well as singer, but like no path was laid out for me. I was like, I'll figure this out somehow. And so what was in front of me was a performing arts school that I did audition to get in, and I got in. And then when I left that school, I had a couple of years in the Toronto music industry, both as a dancer and a singer. And my dreams were always to go to New York because in Toronto culture, like New York is our bordering state, uh,
Mhm.
upstate New York, but still New York. And so that was close. I didn't know nothing about LA. Like I was just like, New York, Broadway, hip hop, like, this is where it all is. This is where I need to be. Three people who were very close to me at the time all left after high school. Two of them went to Alvin Ailey to train as dancers. And then one of
That's
them, who
amazing.
was my boyfriend at the time, went to intern to become a music video director. So all my people were gone, and I was in Toronto, like going to university and gigging and singing, and like I was like, I don't even want to be here. Anyway, I hustled my way to New York eventually, and had an opportunity to what was just like shucking and jiving, like where are the auditions. Went to went to the dance studios. Like I had no idea, I had no connections. And then my ex at the time, he was working in the music video industry, and his name is Little X or Director X, so you guys know him,
Got
may
you.
know him.
May
And
know him.
he,
We know
yeah,
Lil X. I'm
oh my, that's
like,
that's Julian.
so
No,
he's from
uh,
Toronto too.
yes, Canadian, born and
Got you.
raised.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
and we were
Yep.
all just like these musician, creative people in this bubble, like really talented people. But we were just like, there were no opportunities in Toronto, and so we were like, we've
Hmm.
got to get to New York. So he made his way over. My two best friends made their way over, and then I was going back and forth trying to like jump in auditions or go to dance class and hope that like the teachers were choreographers and they'd see me and they'd hire me. Child, I had no idea. And then one day I get a call from a friend of mine who'd done the same thing, like gone to New York. And at this point, I've had like three rejections. One being I was too tall for the artist. One being, actually, I forgot about this. I auditioned for an MTV performance for Diddy. And
Before making the band.
yes, this was in like 97, 98.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I just got
Yeah.
there, or maybe 96, something like that. Um,
And at the time when Diddy and Bad Boy were at the top of
Huge,
the
yeah,
universe. Yeah.
huge. I
Yeah.
was like, I get to audition, like what? And I swear every girl in there made it but me. I just didn't. I don't know. I went, I did the choreography. I thought I did it well. I was confident in my dance skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't get it. And then I went home, came back another time for another music video that I was asked to be in, and then something happened when the artist didn't want to use me. And so I was just like, this is not working. So I
Mm-hmm.
go on a personal trip. I'm getting ready to leave. And the day before I'm getting ready to leave, my friend calls me and he's like, Mariah Carey's having auditions. I was like, I'm good. I'm done with being typecast. They probably want some tall, light skinned girls who look like
Mm-hmm.
her. Because that's been my experience, like just typecast.
Yep.
Long story short, this is where my dance skills actually like, everything happens when it's supposed to happen and in its own time and God's timing. And I went to the audition just as a dancer, and somehow I made it. I made it. I got the gig after like hundreds of girls had auditioned. I just
And this
happened
was
to
to
be that
dance in
thing.
a Mariah Carey video.
This was to do her world tour, the Butterfly Tour.
Oh my
And up
gosh,
until this
that's
point, she had,
huge.
yeah, it was massive. And it was one thing that I could at least say that I did have dance training. Like I was a good
Mm-hmm.
dancer. I just
Yep.
I was trying to get into these music videos where there's so much more going on other than your talent.
Yep.
It's a look, it's a vibe, it's maybe specific to the artist. And this is also why I was discouraged from auditioning for Mariah. I was just like, well, they probably want Mariah's or versions of Mariah.
Yeah. People who look
Um,
like her.
yeah, and that's very common
Mm-hmm.
too, like typecasting, whatever that is. And anyway, it happened to be the audition was held by Debbie Allen, who, remember the Fame reference for me was
Yep.
like
Yep.
she was more my hero in some ways than Mariah Carey was at the time. And I got to work with her and work with an incredible group of male dancers at the time were represented by like they were called Mop Top. These were the guys that you already saw in the Mariah Carey videos. So I got to just like I was like brought into this amazing community of dance, but I still was like, okay, now how do I sing? Like the singing was the
Yeah.
thing for me. Um, so that's kind of what led me and got me to New York in a short kind of way. And it really wasn't easy also because I still was Canadian and like didn't know how I was actually going to get legally work there. But they had this whole scheme that I discovered that's like laid out for people who we're called aliens with extraordinary abilities, and most Americans probably wouldn't know this because you don't go through this process, but it's just a way of getting a visa, and you're said to have this like exceptional talent um that you come to the States with, and you're going to and so they let you in based on a bunch of criteria, and that's sort of
Mm-hmm.
how I came to work. But the goal was always to sing and to sort of finagle, and like, could I meet producers? And I had a very difficult time being validated or being credited with the ability to sing, because people were
Oof.
just like, no, you're a dancer.
Putting
And
you in a
people
box.
just, oh, absolutely, from day one. And I didn't like, honestly, even as a vocalist, I was very shy about my singing. So doing making the band was a lot of, even for me, internal, I'll say demons, but battles of like confidence. And I know we all had them, but
Mm-hmm.
I was strong with my dancing. I felt very confident with that. And so much so that, yeah, prior to the show, I came into the show with work relationships where I did meet Laurianne Gibson. She's how I actually got introduced to the show. I did have a working relationship with Laurianne Gibson, and one of her top
Prior to
clients
making the
was,
band.
yes, prior to making band, and one of her top clients was P Diddy, was Bad
Mm-hmm.
Boy, Mary J. Blige. Like, she goes way back, and
Yeah.
so I worked with Diddy as a professional dancer, and
Before making the band.
before making
I
the
remember
band,
this.
yeah.
So what videos or what shows or kinds of things were you able
So
to?
so I did this first MTV gig, or audition for him when I was like just trying to break in, and didn't get the gig. So fast forward, I start working with Laurianne, and I become like one of her core dancers. And so she brings me everywhere. I'm dancing with everyone that she's with, a lot of the artists. And she's molding me, she's teaching me, she's mentoring me. And Diddy's getting ready to do was it Forever? No, I don't remember if it was the Forever album or if there was an album before that,
Mm-hmm.
but he's releasing an album and he's gonna do promo. So we do all this promo stuff, and then he's going on tour. So that's what I did. I never did a music video with Diddy. I was
Yeah.
on stage with him, touring.
Yep. So by the time we get to making the band, you have
Hmm.
toured the world with Mariah Carey.
Hmm. Yeah.
You have toured with Diddy.
Hmm. I
And
went on
this is
tour with Brandy.
2005.
Yeah,
Oh,
prior to that.
girl,
So I
we
did.
can't skip that. We can't skip that.
I know. I'm like, honestly, so there are these big
I,
moments where I'm
I was like,
having
I'm gonna
like,
pause you so I can get some chunks because you've worked with
yeah.
everybody.
But a lot of it was
Brandy.
was was through Laurianne. I mean, she literally took
Mm-hmm.
me under her wing and was molding
Yep.
me as a dancer. Like, this wasn't
Yeah.
just like, this was my career as a dancer, you know? And
Yeah.
I had all
Yeah.
this
So
proximity to all these artists, but my first artist with her was Faith Evans. So it was actually a Bad Boy artist. Again, like
mm-hmm.
this woman. And then wait, hold on. Am I messing this up? No lies, it was Diddy. Then we
So
did
Diddy,
Brandy. I could be
Brandy,
wrong this one.
the vocal Bible,
Right? That
Faith.
every night. Yes, Faith. And then I went on to do some other stuff and then came back to
Wow.
making the band later. But I did have a
Yeah,
really
because
fulfilling career as a professional dancer.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, I mean, one of the most memorable places I've seen you
Mm.
is in the Rock the Boat video.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh
No, it's a,
yes.
okay, wait. I'm gonna pause because
Okay.
this is actually a moment that happened on making a band in the beginning, where you're sitting with the producers and they're, you know, they've got their agenda.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they're doing is this. They're like, so you've worked for some big names and they had already had a list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I'm trying to name some names. And, this is off the top where it gets misconstrued, because I can be confident. I'm not, I never considered myself arrogant. And obviously people can read into that, but I'm also very shy. And I think one of the things that I got picked on about or teased about a lot when I came to New York was that I was Canadian. So there's this
Mhm.
Canadianness, and I'm the shy girl, and I'm the naive girl, and I'm like, I'm not New Yorker in your face, loud, blah, 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 blah. You know, what I mean, like this completely, and that was very true of my character, as much as I thought I was
Mhm.
very bold. So when I'm sitting in this interview, and they're like asking me about some of the artists, and I'm trying to name them without name dropping. They do this
Yeah,
thing, I don't know if
without
they do in
coming off
America.
as that person.
Yeah. In the UK, I learned where it's like if you're just like, oh yeah, I was on tour this summer with some something, like clang. It's like, the cymbals bash. It's like, okay, name drop. And it's like, I'm just really so I'm saying like a name here and there, and they're like, oh well, what about this one and this one and this? And they've got the whole list. And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, okay. And what I end up seeing is this edit of me with some girls calling me whatever. And then I'm name dropping. And I'm literally just stating my resume and asking the questions. But it is my experience. So I'm like, what else? And I was
This.
actually really trying to not say it all. And they were
Mhm.
like, and then I was like, no, I didn't. I was like, oh, I didn't really work for Mary J. Blige. I kind of like, but anyway, it's another thing. So it's this
Yeah,
moment right
no,
here.
it's
It's like,
and this is
I
this is
do,
one of the
I do
things, right?
forget because I had, like I said, I was a professional dancer. And that when you went to these auditions back in the day, you had a headshot and a resume, and it mattered who you worked for. You needed to be able to say, I've done something because I was Canadian. And even though in Canada, in Toronto, like, okay, it's not very big, but I danced for some Canadian artists. The biggest thing I could say that I did was I was dance captain for 2 years for the Toronto Raptors Dance Club. But when I told a choreographer that, they were like, and it didn't mean
They're like,
anything.
okay, yeah,
Okay, she can dance.
yeah.
So
So that's
having
so
a resume
interesting.
and saying who you worked for meant get like 50% of you getting the job. And then the other
Hmm.
50% was like, oh, no, let me see you dance. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So
And so we
the
are
name,
definitely gonna tap into this piece around editing, girl,
yes, 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 yes.
because they did a
We'll talk
thing on
about
my girl
that.
Denosh. They
They,
did a thing. So
they did
okay,
me
I was
dirty.
gonna
Anyway, go
say
ahead.
I just want to touch on this Aaliyah moment because
Oh, right.
obviously
Okay.
her last
Yeah.
music video,
Hmm.
you're there, you're on the scene
Hmm.
looking beautiful on the boat, on the
Thanks.
yacht. I don't know if it was a yacht or a boat because I don't have that kind of, I wasn't living that
It
kind of
was like
life,
a
but
Yeah, it was like a small speed boat kind of thing, but
yeah,
it
yeah,
was a
y'all are,
it was
and
a, it was a catamaran. That's the first thing I learned. I
there you
learned that's
go,
what it was,
catamaran, and
catamaran.
y'all are, listen, y'all are moving on that catamaran, okay, and
First of
like it's
all,
not a
we're doing all
catamaran.
this choreography, and where our toes are like gripping onto the deck because we ain't all trying to slide off
That's
starboard.
what I'm thinking. That's, I'm
Like it
like,
was
how
the
are y'all
whole
dancing
thing
on a boat?
very strategically. Well, one thing that I love about Fatima, who is, I guess, Aaliyah's one of her best friends, if not,
Mhm.
and they were, mentor and muse. And she's got a very signature style. And I actually am grateful that I did it because it was a very Caribbean, Afro Caribbean kind of in the hips, lower waist,
Mhm.
the song, the whole video, the whole moment. So her choreography actually really lent itself to being very central to yourself and then like very in the body, not very big and, which definitely would have made it more difficult. I don't know if she planned for that, but that was just what made sense. And so it actually worked in her favor
Yeah,
until you had to change position. And then it was like, and then you had to like do this whole formation change. But
yeah,
it was incredible. It was really incredible.
yeah.
But yeah, sorry. So yeah, that
No,
was one
don't
thing.
apologize. You've had a
But
career
it
that has
was,
spanned, I would say, more than 30 years. So for you to have a
yeah.
little lapse of like not being able to name every single experience is
I
not
think
a
it's
crazy thing to
yeah, 'cause I
me.
think I was just sort of like when you were like, okay, this, I was thinking tours. But yeah, in between the tours were music videos. Like this is how we stayed. And then like smaller tours, working with Laurianne, she did a lot of artist development. So she
Mm-hmm.
would like see the artists first and she put their show together. And so sometimes I would work with these artists. I would dance background with these artists. And there was so much like, and then you do a music video and then you do a tour and then so you kind of
Mm-hmm.
were doing this rotation, which was really great because you got a really good diverse experience. And actually getting that job was very interesting because I wasn't, well, I think everything is divine, but just technically and logistically, I wasn't supposed to do that video. And
Mm.
I was I think I was in New York and I was on the set of 112's Dance With Me video. And two of the girls who did Rock the Boat, that I did Rock the Boat with, and they were actually doing promo for Aaliyah. And so you will see them, they were doing like, I think like Jay Leno or whatever the talk show was. And they did the one, more than a woman video. So they were doing a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff. I wasn't part of like her core dancers that were doing. But then there was this music video where Fatima was like, I want it to be like more dancers. And I was set to go to LA, very last minute. My agent calls me to go to LA to work with Laurianne on, I don't remember the artist. So the girls are talking about how they have to go home. Like we're trying to get off set because they got to go home and pack. And we all got early flights. And I was like, oh, I'm actually going to LA tomorrow, but I'm going to be doing. And they're like, oh, I guess we're on the same flight. So we get to LA, I check into my room, and actually, I think I was maybe staying with Laurianne. So I get to the hotel, she's somewhere. My agent calls me. I don't even remember what phone I had or two-way pager. Like, I don't even remember what the way of communication was
What was
then.
the phone in 2000, 2001?
I think it was still a Motorola two-way pager. And they're like, we have bad news. Unfortunately, Laurianne like miscalculated the hires and it turns out that she's not going to be able to use you. And I was like, oof, I'm already in LA.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Oh,
like,
you had
but
already
Fatima,
gotten there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But she's like, Fatima
Yeah.
called and she wants to, just like, we've talked to Fatima and she actually would love to use you for the Aaliyah video. So I call the girls and I'm like, guess who's coming to rehearsal? They're like, this is amazing. And for me, it's a dream come true. Like, I love Aaliyah since back and forth.
Yeah.
Big fan,
Yeah.
loved the new stuff. And yeah, so but her rehearsals are in the evening. And so I'm like, cool. So I have the whole day off. I'm in LA. And then we get to rehearsal like 4 o'clock. And we go in the
Mm-hmm.
studio and the team is there just vibing. And then like we all just start building. And they're talking about it's gonna be in Jamaica. And I'm like, and I get to go to Jamaica. I'm like, God is good.
Yeah.
And so we do a
Is
lot of the
that where your
choreography.
family is from originally?
Yes, yes. So
Oh,
I'm
I
like
love it.
free trip to Jamaica, so excited. So we do the rehearsals and they're still building it because it's like different scenes. We fly to Miami, and Miami is where we do all the green screen stuff, which I didn't have any idea. And they're still trying to figure out where the island shoot is going to be. Turns
Mm.
out, for some reason, they couldn't do it in Jamaica, and so this we go to the Bahamas. And I'm in Miami, and I'm just at this time in my life, I'm having like the worst migraines, debilitating migraines, and it's
Oh
hot,
no.
and I can't see straight, and I'm like, it's destroying me, but I've got to like, anyway, it's not about that. But it was a
Yeah,
hard
you're like, I
time.
got a job. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we go and they're like, oh, they're gonna cornrow everyone's hair. And my girl, I think her name was Andrea, she's a stylist, and she cornrowed. I mean, my eyebrows were back
Yeah,
here,
baby,
like
she caught everything. The baby hairs.
everything. We were like this. But it was fun. We went there.
Yeah.
So we get there. I've never been to Bahamas, and me and the New York girls happen to be staying in like this because I'm an odd number, and I don't know. Well, I do know why, but there's no one ever usually hires 9 dancers.
Mm-hmm.
But Aaliyah made the 10th, and so because there was a partner element. But it's
Yeah.
always 8 dancers or like an even number. And so anyway, do this thing. We do this rehearsal, or like practicing, and then we have a shoot. I think we had like one. I think we had 2 shoots, and the second shoot's going to be on the boat, and it's hot. It's gorgeous. The night before the shoot, we all have this like bonfire.
Oh.
It was just having so much fun. It was just the most fun, and it's like all these LA girls, and then us 3 New York girls, and Fatima and the crew, hype, and it's just such a great time. I'm like, this is like the best. Like, what else could you ask for? And of course, we have an early call, but then that night, Hype says, like, I guess he was just feeling the vibe so much, and he's just like, I'm gonna pay for, or we're gonna extend it so that you guys after the shoot can stay.
Mm.
And we're like, we get like a free day or two off in Bahamas just to frolic and play, and this is amazing. So next day, she has to do some underwater stuff. So
She,
the
Aaliyah.
days Aaliyah, sorry,
Yep.
so she's got to shoot some underwater stuff. So I think her day actually started early. Ours didn't, because I think when Hype wanted to capture that shot was time sensitive, and then yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful day. It was hot. This is August, so it's peak summer. We're eating lovely food. Like it's just a vibe. It's just a vibe. And so we're shooting, and now, but the deck of the boat is hot, and our feet are burning, and we're like, and the sun is here, and we're like, Rob, we're just fighting for our lives. But it
Trying to
was so much,
survive.
girl, so much fun. I mean, actually, even the day before, we all rented mopeds. I do actually have a picture. It's the one picture that I happened to take, and it's myself, Aaliyah, and maybe Ebony or one of the other dancers. And we're just on mopeds. And we're all kids. Like we're just kids. Like we're just kids. We're just happy. And we're like wheeling around the island. It was a wonderful,
Oh my
fun day off.
gosh.
And so we do the shoot, and they basically, I guess, whatever decisions are being made, we that she's going to go back to New York, so they want to wrap her. And we're going to shoot the extra footage after, and that was also part of a shot that they wanted to get, was just the dancers doing stuff. So they're like, eventually we shoot, they wrap her, and they go, and we have like one little jam, and she leaves, and it's like kisses, love, and you know, I don't know. I had such a great time. I was hoping that like at some point, maybe an award show or whatever, I could join the group again, because again, it was just a small group of core dancers that were doing the promo for her album.
Yep.
And so we have this one shot, and the sun's going down, and we're just, and then we finish, they do the martini shot, and we're all just like laid out on the deck, just like suns. It's just the perfect moment. It's the
Yeah.
perfect moment. Like day, like video vibe. Thank you, Hype. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Aaliyah. And we finally dock. The sun's like gone down now. We all get in our vans and we head back. And I don't remember how far the hotel was from the shoot, but we get there, and there's already staff outside, like waiting to talk to Fatima. And I think Hype was a little bit further behind us. And yeah, that's when we got the news. And not really many details, but the only thing that we were told was that there was only one survivor, and that person was a man. And not that any life is more precious than anyone else's, but we all, we
You knew
just,
what that meant.
we knew what that meant. And just, yeah, screams, cries, disbelief.
I was gonna say with
I
the
don't even know if
fallout.
anybody slept. And like I said, for some reason, we had this big loft room. So everybody was in our room. Like we were just praying and weeping and wailing and moaning and like in complete shock. And then there was the whole issue the next day, just technically, um, how were we all going to get home? Because there was this, you know, looming question about the flights and the airlines, and is it safe to fly? And I remember when we
That's what
left
I was literally
Miami.
about to ask. Like,
Yeah,
how you
I
get on a plane
remember.
the next day?
Oh, I remember when we were in Miami, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna fly from Miami to Bahamas." It's like, I don't know, 45 minutes. It's not even far. Child, these planes were so tiny. I want to say they were helicopters, but they weren't. They were these tiny little, like, I guess maybe like Cessnas or whatever. I could, if I opened up the window and reached out, I could have touched I could have picked a leaf off a tree. That's how low we were flying.
Oh my
So
gosh.
everybody was like, I was laughing. I don't know why I thought it was funny, but I was like, I guess this is how they do in the in
Yeah.
Bahamas. And so when we on the other side of it now, trying to get home or figure out, like, I think no one felt safe. I think they were like kind of shutting down island operations until further notice. And so now the news is going out. We don't have those types of phones that can reach long distance. Like I said, maybe if you had a Motorola two-way pager, you could message someone else who had that same device. But there was like one phone in the front desk, and then there was like a couple pay phones you could use. Like it was so hard to communicate with the outside world, with your family, and and then they were just watching the news. So everybody was in a panic,
Oh my
you
gosh.
know,
I
like
just
some
can't
people were like, "Were
imagine.
you supposed to be on that plane?" And I just said, "No, I wasn't actually. We didn't fly there with her. I don't think there was any plan for us to fly back. Maybe because I know Hyde was trying to finish the shot. but the day before he had already said like, I think we should all stay and hang out. And so
Mm-hmm.
it could have been a situation where we could have had the same problem a couple nights before, but
Yeah.
as we all later found out the issues with what actually happened, we definitely were not I'm saying we weren't in harm's way, but we
Yeah.
weren't subject to that situation. And so
Yeah. If I
eventually,
remember,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, if I remember correctly, this was overpacked luggage. Like it's so many years ago now.
It was, I think it was a couple things. So they, I don't want to get this wrong. So I'm just gonna
Yep.
say I'm speculating based on what I remember because
Yeah. Yeah.
there was a lot of speculation, and I don't think anyone wanted to be like, actually it's my fault.
This is the thing,
um
right?
but there was a conversation that, yeah, they overpacked the plane. Then I was told that the plane that they initially were going to take wasn't going to fly. Like they were like, it's too, you have to get wheels off at a certain time because technical things don't happen after a certain hour. Island
Yep.
shuts down.
Yep.
So I think the company, then I heard that the company that they were supposed to go with was like, no. And they were like, well, we're going to find somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that company
This matches
wasn't,
some of the things that I've heard over the years.
yeah. But also then like the insistence of, oh, we've got to get everything. No, we have to get to New York,
Factors, all factors.
Yeah. So I think it was
Yeah.
what I believe. That's what I was what I was led to believe, or what I came to understand. And I
Yeah.
think just thinking, it's sad because I think, well, it doesn't matter what I think. It's just it was heartbroken,
Yeah.
breaking, and
Yeah.
what ended up happening is that Lenny Kravitz sent a plane for us, and I think
Wow.
yeah, that he had obviously a close relationship or fondness or like, with somebody, or with Aaliyah herself,
Yep.
or
Somebody in that realm. Yeah.
yeah, and was like, no. And so he
Let's
sent
make
his
sure
private
everybody gets
plane
home. Yeah.
because they were
Wow.
talking
Shout out to
about
Lenny Kravitz. That's look.
like,
I
thank
mean,
you. They were
yeah,
talking
I
about us going to, I forgot the name of the island. Where were we? I forgot the name of it. I blocked so much stuff out. But trying to get to Nassau, which is
mm-hmm.
bigger. But
Mm-hmm.
Nassau was not close. So we were trying to figure out how can we get to Nassau? Because from Nassau, then we could get more direct flights to back to the
Mm-hmm.
US.
Big commercial planes.
So it was a
Yeah.
whole lot of, it was a lot. And then people like, half the girls were like, I'm not getting on nobody's plane. I'm not going on no
Mm-hmm.
boat. Nobody was trying to go anywhere, but we all wanted to get home. And
Mm-hmm.
then,
I can only imagine.
yeah, it was really hard. And I think, you know, the beautiful thing, so many beautiful things did come from that, but also the bond. We all, to this day, I mean, maybe there's one or two people that I don't keep in touch with, but, you know, we all still
Listen,
celebrate
trauma will
in
do a
our own
thing. Trauma
way.
will
And
bond.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
You
forever,
know,
forever.
I mean, for real, I
And
just, my gosh,
yeah.
you laid it all out. I was sitting here thinking there are only certain folks, in the world, in the entertainment, in history, specifically Black people for me,
Mm-hmm.
who I'm like, I remember where I was. I remember where I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting at the foot of my mother's bed. I will never forget
Mm-hmm.
this. And I think my baby sister was about to be born. And, we get the news and we're falling all over the place. We're
Yeah.
losing it. Like, and
Yeah.
we weren't in the video. So I can only
Right.
imagine
Right.
having that time, the way you just described it, the way you talked about how beautiful of a time you all had together,
Yeah.
to come off of that into such a tremendous tragedy,
Yeah.
and
We
frankly to be
actually,
here today to even tell the story.
yeah, I mean, we all don't take that blessing for granted at all. And it took a long time for us to be able to, some of us, to be able to laugh about some of the moments that happened, because it was
Mm-hmm.
just like, it was just tragedy for years, for
Mm-hmm.
years, for years, for years. It just was
Yep, you can't think about the good and
tragedy.
the amazing times without thinking
Couldn't get
about
there. Yeah.
literally
I
what
actually
happened the
just
next moment, the next day.
I just 2 months ago, no, 3 months ago, got her Barbie doll. I collect Barbie dolls.
I love
And
it.
oh, and my first Barbie doll was the Mariah one. My second one was Debbie Allen, and now my third one is Aaliyah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
I love
She's
it.
forever touched my life, and I'm so grateful that I had that experience and that I came out of it. And
Hmm.
what's actually really nice is I work with a generation of dancers now that are probably two or three, maybe three generations below me, and they're like, "You were in that like." Not that I'm some icon, but they're just like, "You were part of that time," and I'm like, "Wow, you guys were baby, like, they're like half my age
Yeah.
almost," but
Yeah.
that moment was significant for them, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Come on. Come on. Shout
yeah.
out to and rest in paradise to the beautiful and
Yes.
talented Aaliyah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, girl,
Oh, yes.
we done went to so many places and we were only
I
on the first
know.
question.
I
Okay,
know. I
so
know.
now
Okay.
let's shift a little
We'll
bit
hit it.
into how did you hear about the making the band auditions? I mean, I'm hearing about this relationship with Laurianne, so that could be it.
Yeah.
But how'd you hear about the auditions? How'd you come into it?
So I heard I knew that Laurianne was doing this show. She'd actually told me because again, we're working together on with different artists. Like I'm still working with her as I just she's putting me to work, she's getting me gigs, I'm assisting her on some things. And so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this show." And I was like, "Oh, okay, like that's nice." And then I start watching it. And I remember also Jason, because I worked with him a couple of times. He was one
From
of
the
the
first
assistants
season of
from the
Making the
first,
Band
yes.
3. Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, "Oh, my boo, like these are my mentors. These are people who are grooming me in the industry." So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just seeing them doing their thing and I love it. I'm loving it. And I'm just in it and I'm laughing and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, this is a mess." Again, I know we know that there's a filming period and then there's an airing period and whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember speaking to her during the filming period, but I think once a show aired, we would talk a bit more and we get to making the band 3 to ours, the one before we all joined.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching, because I'm like, "Ooh, now it's girls and da da da," and I'm watching everything. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is a mess. This is a mess." How are these, just not like no shade against the girls, but I'm just like, the drama. And this is the first time I'm just really
Yeah,
seeing
yeah. It's
something
reality
like
TV.
this. Yeah. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and she does tell me that there's gonna be like another season. They're looking for more girls. And I'm like, oh, not realizing she's saying this to like, I don't know, suggest it or put it in my spirit. And then at some point she comes out and asks me, she's like, I think you could really do well on the show. And I was just like, "Oh girl, no." I was like, "This is not for me. That's not my portion. I'm good." Like, no, 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 no. I'll stay here. And she's just like, and now mind you, we're also working, like she was recording music at the time, like during, a couple years before. And I'm in the studio helping her with some like vocals and like just producing vocals and doing background vocals for her. And, she knows my dreams about being a singer
Mm-hmm.
and what have you. So she's like, "You could be perfect for this." She's like, "You sing, you dance, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Yeah," but I was like, "I don't really want to be in a girl group. I don't really want to like put that on TV. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good." And she's like, "Well, okay, well," and she just keeps coming back. "They're gonna be auditioning, da da da." And I'm like, "That's nice." Simultaneously, I have an entertainment lawyer who's working on my career and trying to get me a deal, and an immigration lawyer. And for some reason, it comes up with my lawyer, my entertainment lawyer, that if I were to make the band, it could be like, I think maybe what we all thought, we would get in the band and then you go solo. Like you get
Mm-hmm.
this exposure, you do this thing, and at some point you could break free, but you would have some credit. People would know you, and then whatever.
From
And I was
this
just
group.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, "Y'all are what? No, like this is you guys just don't know me." Then I'm talking to my lawyer because I'm getting ready to start my green card process. And he's just like, "Oh yeah, a show like this would be like an automatic, like, I don't know, 60% of your case." So I was like, "Oh boy, really don't want to
Yeah.
do this." But I make the decision because of the potential opportunities.
Yeah.
And um
So this is
and this
bigger, this is bigger than music for you. This is I could be able to
yeah,
stay in the
I'm
United
not
States permanently.
yeah, I'm not American. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that mentality made helped me form a lot of decisions, but I didn't have like me whereas you would go back to Maryland or certain people would go like I would have to go back to a whole other country. I'm only
Yep.
there working. And if I don't work and have some sort of visa or a green card or something, I'm not allowed to remain in the US. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was at stake for me as well. So I'm really looking at it as an opportunity, and I just really don't want to be in a girl group. And it's no
Mhm.
disrespect to anyone. I just, in my earlier days, like I tried it and it just didn't work for
Yeah.
a few reasons. So I was not interested. But,
Mhm.
Laurianne's like, I'm gonna be there. She's like, I got your back. And that's again, like, I don't want to shade her or put something out there like she was going to help me make the band. But I think just being someone who I could trust as a support, whatever, or that like she's like, I got you. Like, don't worry, it's gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. And then that was it. So that was my decision. I said, I'll go as I have no expectations. I'll just go as far as I can go. And so I went to the first audition. I don't remember it was some club somewhere in the city. I don't remember what it
And so
was.
this is in New
Maybe
York.
with
You did
the,
not New York auditions.
yes, I did New York auditions.
Okay. Okay.
And I think I remember who was there at the audition. I know Andre was there.
Mhm.
And was Johnny? I think Wright was there. I don't remember who else was holding the audition, but I went
Yeah.
sang. I think I maybe sang a Faith song, or maybe it was a Mary J. Blige song. I think that's what we all
Mhm.
sang.
Yeah.
I don't know. And yeah, like I got, I went through the first process and whatever, whatever. And automatically I was just like, oh God, what did I sign myself up for? Now I lived in New York. And so there was also this pull of like, can I just go home now? Like,
Mhm.
which I could imagine for the rest of you girls, like y'all home, your homes weren't in New York, so like you were
Mhm.
there, and you had to be there doing the thing.
Yeah.
Where I was like, if I just can slip past this camera, I want to go home every day. But anyway, that's kind of how I came to audition
Yeah.
for it. And again, I didn't. I was hoping to get as far as I could because I thought even some exposure would be
Absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah. Talking to an
And
immigration lawyer about like, here, this is me on national television. Here's my resume.
Yeah,
Like, come on,
yeah,
that's big.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's how I came to that. That's how I came to do the auditions. And I had no
Yeah.
expectations because but it was also really strange for me because I was going into this space now as a contestant with
Mhm.
people that I already had professional relationships with. The only one I didn't have was one with was with Andre Harrell.
Mhm.
And I think that actually worked out. He was very lovely to me the whole time, very lovely and very supportive.
Yeah.
Johnny Wright
Yeah.
was great, but I got to see him in a different light. But I was his employee prior to that because I was
Mhm.
singing for
Oh, how did
Justin,
you work? Oh, okay. Hold on.
and he's
Pause.
Justin Timberlake's manager.
So you sang backup for Justin Timberlake. This is also on the
Yeah,
list.
sorry.
So I'm trying to get all the connections. You've danced for Diddy prior to making the band. You and Laurianne have a super close relationship because she has essentially helped to put you on. She's gotten you a lot
Yes,
of gigs. And
yes,
I didn't even know about her, music career. You've been helping her with her vocals,
yeah,
etc.
yeah.
And then Johnny Wright, you had sang backup for Justin Timberlake. What tour? What album is this?
Well, I started working with after Diddy, I started working with Faith Evans, and I was initially hired to dance for her. And Faith was actually the very first person who gave me my break as a singer. So I was totally like indebted to her because she was just like she heard me singing on a tour bus one day and she was like, "You can sing." And I was like, "No, I can't. You're Faith Evans. Like, how dare you say I can sing? Compared to you, are you crazy? I can't sing." And then she kept saying, "I'm going to get you to sing. I'm going to get you to sing." And then one day a door opened up. No, she kept
Mhm.
saying, she's like, "I want to hear some music." So I gave her some music and I didn't hear back from her. And I was like, of course. She was like, whatever. And then my phone rings in my hotel room and she was like, "Girl, this Faye, you can sing." And I'm like, "Oh, Faye, yeah, oh, hi." Like I'm just again like Canadian girl, duh. But she was a huge fan. Like I mean,
Mhm.
she was such a champion and such a supporter. And then eventually a door opened up where she asked me to sing for her. And
Mhm.
then we went to do a tour and she was like, "All right, what do you want to do? You want to sing or you want to dance?" And I'm like, I mean,
Oh
like,
my
well, whoever gets
gosh.
asked that question for
Yeah, I'm
someone
like,
who
what
was
a
completely
tremendous
invisible as a
opportunity.
singer. Yeah, and I was really invisible as a singer, and I chose to sing on that tour. That tour ended, and then I went on to do Hairspray, the Broadway musical, and
Wow, Denosh.
yeah, I had this opportunity because I was doing, like I said, these in between jobs. One of those jobs was a movie, and I didn't realize I was working for this like well known choreographer director. But I kept going, like this, like, I sing too, because I was dancing for him. And this hairspray came up, and he was like, I think you should audition. And he called my agent, and I'd done
Yeah.
that. And so after that, I was like, okay, what do I do, next? So hairspray came up, and I was in between, and I will circle back. I was in between waiting for the contract. I'd never done a show, so I didn't even know. Contract took a little bit of time. Waiting for the
Mm-hmm.
contract, and Faith was like, you coming on tour? And I was like, like mind blown that these are my choices.
Yeah.
Um,
A
and I
blessing.
chose to go on tour with Faith because I really wanted my singing career. I really wanted that door open. I did that tour. I had a vocal hemorrhage. I managed to get through. I lost my voice for three-quarters of the tour, but I managed to get through it. And when I came off tour, I rejoined Hairspray as an understudy,
Mm-hmm.
which was an amazing experience. And while I was on tour with that, after 6 months, I was like, I kind of want to do something else because this is not what
Yeah.
I thought. And I was also like going through some other stuff, but the opportunity came up that someone who'd been asked to do Justin's tour as a background singer. So this is his first solo tour, turned it down. And she called me and she was like, hey girl, what you doing? I was like, getting ready to go to the theater. Why? And she was just like, do you want to do this tour? And so this is one of those really wonderful, and I'll say rare moments where like you've paid your dues, you've worked your ass off, you've done everything you can. And then like rather than you knocking on all the doors,
Mm-hmm.
people start calling
Mm-hmm.
you, you know,
Yeah.
or seeking you or thinking about you because you're like, hey, think of me, think of me, think of me, think of me.
Yeah.
And then
You
they
put in
finally
the
think of
work.
you. Yeah. So I went to work with Justin, and that was Justified tour. It was his first solo tour.
Give it up for Rob, Daryl, Cedric, Denosh, and Roger.
And Johnny Wright was his manager, and that's when I met Johnny. But I'm an employee,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we finished that tour, 2004, and then not shortly after that, then when did we
Yeah.
do
Making
Making
the
the Band?
bands a year later,
2005.
2005. Yep. Literally
Yeah.
a
So
year
this
later.
is, I don't know what's happening, but then I'm like, oh, Johnny. And I'm like, okay, well, nice to see Johnny again. And I don't know that I'm
Yeah.
going to go back on tour. I end up going back on tour with Justin after Making the Band. But
Oh, wow.
he was lovely, and it was interesting to explore a different relationship because I'm not the, I'm not the background singer that works for him. I'm a contestant. So he's
Mm-hmm.
got to see much more of me as an artist, and he's got to
Mm-hmm.
experience me in a different way. And I
Yeah.
never
It's
really knew how
interesting.
to.
I was gonna
Sorry, go
say it's
ahead.
so interesting. This dynamic for me sounds like I think some people could see it as a gift or a leg up, but I also
Hmm.
see the other side of it where if you have always seen me as a person playing the background, the
Hmm.
ability to see me as a person who could be at the forefront could actually be a
Yeah.
hindrance to me, right? Like you could be like,
Right.
dang, I hear Denosh in the background, or I see Denosh, behind Aaliyah, behind Mariah, behind
Yeah.
whomever, but can I see her
Yeah.
at the forefront? So I just think that people could make the assumption that like, oh, Denosh has all these connections, and the truth is, those connections could have actually hurt you in the
You
same way that
make
they could
a
have helped you.
You make a very good point, and I think a that was a bit of a theme, that I was going through. Where on tour with Diddy, for instance, I broke my foot like a week shy of the end of the tour, and no one wanted me to leave the tour, and they were like, "Well, you sing. How about you switch with?" So one of the background singers was used to be a professional dancer, and so we all, when I say we all, like everyone, the
Oh my
choreographer,
gosh.
the dancers, the background singers, 112, Lil C's, like everyone was like, this is a no-brainer. Like
Wow.
they were like campaigning to not stay on tour. And so we had this big meeting. We had this big meeting in the auditorium. I don't think it was about me. There was some other stuff going on, but it was brought up.
Yeah.
And they were gonna pitch, like they were gonna speak on my behalf. And did he shut it down? He's like, no.
Mm. Mm.
They're like, yo, you need to hear this girl. She can blow. I was like, no, he's not interested.
And this
No.
is before
He's like,
making the band.
yeah. He's like, I got another girl coming out. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so I went home with my broken foot.
Oh
But
my
anyway,
gosh.
so that's like another, and so I'm kind of like, I don't know how Johnny's gonna see me. Um, and it was this thing that Diddy also made apparent whenever he would deal with me in those moments where it was being judged, was just like was I artist? Was I an artist?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
Yep.
they had a
I'm
hard
totally
time.
seeing both sides of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So
okay, so you're on the show. Give me the quick, most memorable moments.
okay.
Did you have folks? I mean, how'd you perceive Dominique? Were there people who you were like, oh my gosh, click? Were there people who you were like, look, I'm gonna stay on my side, you stay on your side? What do you remember from that time with us?
Um, I will say I genuinely liked everybody. I don't think it wasn't always like that, but I think I genuinely liked everybody from the beginning. Like there were girls who unfortunately, this was one of the biggest stories for you was you were this powerhouse vocalist, but you struggled with dance. The dance wasn't
Girl,
your
didn't
forte.
I? Laurianne was in my ass every
She was
day.
in your behind. And I'm glad she was,
Okay.
but she was in your behind.
Yeah.
Um, and so there were girls like Jennifer who got cut. I mean, that girl could sing her whole Tiffany. We knew that
Oh
like
my
dance
goodness.
wasn't certain people's forte,
Whew.
but the vocals, like,
Yes.
and I know, this is what the band was. It needed to be this group that was doing a specific thing. And, those
Absolutely.
moments broke my heart because I really bonded with those girls. Callie, Kelly, I thought was real, real fly, but she was always just she was all over the place. But I still liked her.
Yeah, yeah.
Taquita was just funny and just so dramatic, but I loved her. I thought she was hilarious. I
She
didn't,
brought the
I didn't.
drama, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think genuinely, I liked everybody. I really loved Dee because I felt like, I think had worked as a professional dancer. She did some stuff. So I felt like we, we got a little bit of like the work hustle. And then I think, we were all made to look around and be like, who do you think you would be in the band with? Like who would be your group? And it was based on personal relationships, but also based on like who's my competition or who do I look good next to or who brings out the best in me, who do I compliment. And I struggled with that. I struggled with that, not necessarily talent wise. I definitely just struggled with the fact that I was just like, I'm older. I was the oldest one. And it was hard to see. I mean, there were definitely girls I felt like were much more mature. But then I was just like, but vibe wise, group wise, I don't think I'd be in a band like that. And so,
Oh my, you can say that. You can say
people,
that. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like the
It's
whole that day, that time when they not pitted, but they were trying to pit me and Taquita against each other. I was just like, what are you doing? This is only gonna be room for one dark skinned girl. Like it was the dark skinned girl battle.
yeah, the tall dark
And
skinned girls. That was
you
the like it's only going to be
right?
one of y'all.
It's only gonna be one of y'all. Even Aubrey, which it made me sad the way that I think that was the first edit that I was like, what? But
Yeah.
I knew the game that she was playing. I knew what was in her mind, how she was being positioned, and I was here for it. I saw her in the band. I was like, absolutely. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, when I've
but when
said
they
this
tried to,
they've
what'd you
come for me.
say?
When
Yeah,
I've just said that I knew from very early on that Aubrey was going to be in the band, and I'm not saying that as a dig or a negative thing,
no,
but it
no.
was the truth.
It
It was
was,
very evident.
yeah, and she knew it, and so that was fine. So I didn't even understand. But then I think she was also groomed to like create drama, and this is the part I didn't see. This was the naive maybe girl of me, even as much as I'm mature and I've had experience. I didn't know TV. And then that's when people really started getting on my nerves. Was when the producers started to interfere with what was
Yep.
actually a really lovely dynamic. And to this day I have love. I mean, I think I talk to a lot of the girls still. To this day, and even in that process, I was always like, they just don't know. And it wasn't me being an elitist. I just was like, it's a battle that's not worth fighting. But then they start coming for you. And I was just like, and I saw people falling for it. and not because they knew what was happening. They were just being played. So I think some of those relationships for me, or personalities, I was just like, oh, just wake up, open your eyes,
Yeah.
like, you know? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. I see that. And I'm also
yeah,
hearing, as you talk about the man, especially 20 years later now, being a real grown up, right? Like I just turned
right.
41. And
Girl.
at, yeah, me, I
Yeah.
did. I did.
Elena. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So look, thinking about me being a 20-year-old, right? When I
Wild.
interviewed Malika, she said she turned 30. She had like kept this, secret, but she turned
Yeah.
30 when they were
On
doing the first
the,
season.
yes, yes, I remember that.
So I'm like thinking about 20-year-old Dominique versus 30-year-old Dominique. I can't imagine 30-year-old
No.
Dominique reacting to 20-year-olds and 22-year-olds running around being themselves, being age appropriate, like, behaving in the way that a 20-something-year-old will behave. But it's very
Hmm.
different than who I am at 30, very, very different than who I am at 40. And so I can only imagine the
Absolutely.
dynamic that created for you. One,
Yeah.
there are these prior relationships that I'm kind
Hmm.
of battling, Laurianne, Diddy,
Yeah.
Johnny Wright. And then also being the oldest person and one of the most experienced people in
Hmm.
the space. Those are a lot of dynamics. And then you throw reality TV in there and you throw in the producers doing their little
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
And it,
And
and
I
it
think,
turned into like a little villain story.
yeah, and I think that, like, I didn't again, I didn't have an issue with the other girls, but the reality of it is there was no room for me. And that's when I started to remove myself. And I was just like, I'm just going to play my part. And also, what I saw, for whatever reason, I've always played this role of big sister. I've had people play the role of big sister to me and big brother. So for me, it's only right that you pass on that mentorship, that support to younger people. And you were one of those people, um, that I happily could, like, anything I could do. I mean, girl, you were in tears a lot. That
I
broke
know.
my heart. It
And you
broke
were
my
comforting
heart.
me. I mean, that was one of my biggest moments on the show was that day when I'm broken down in tears and you're literally talking me through it and talking through how I am supposed to overcome these things.
Yeah,
This is like the life that you've been living for at least a decade at this point. And I'm like, girl, this is hard. Like,
I know. And I mean, and
you know,
I didn't even know what to say in that specific, but I was just like, no, it's not right that we are being made to feel so insecure and being pitted against each other, and, like, whatever. And then, when we were in Miami, like, all those challenges, like the running around. I forgot her name, bless her heart, but there's this one girl that got me through that run through Central Park. Really pretty girl. She had dark brown hair. I know that sounds silly. Anyway, and she ran with me, and she was telling me how to breathe, because I guess she's like ran a lot
wow.
in her,
Yeah.
and she's telling me how to
Maybe
breathe.
Chelsea?
If it wasn't for her, oh yeah, I think it's Chelsea. No, no, it's
Yeah.
not Chelsea. No, because Chelsea
Okay.
had like blondish. No, this she had like
Yeah,
dark
curly
brown
hair.
hair,
I'm
and
like, Cindy
she
had the black
Cindy. It was Cindy. It was
hair.
Cindy. It was
It
Cindy.
was
It was
Cindy?
Cindy. It was
Yeah,
Cindy. It
yeah,
was Cindy. It
yeah.
was
She
Cindy.
was so
Yeah.
sweet. She was so
Oh
sweet.
God, that girl is so sweet. And I mean, I don't think I would have gotten through Central Park without her. That was one of the big moments for me, because I don't run. I have a skin thing, and, like, I don't know why God and Cindy got me through that run that day. And then to go back to wherever we went, and then have to be in we making cuts tonight, and be in that
Literally.
gym.
They took us straight to Alvin
My
Ailey.
leg, my leg, that's where we were. My legs couldn't.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you want what? And, like, it's just maniacal. Like, we laugh about the cheesecake episode, we laugh about that stuff, but the stuff that we had to go through, I guess for me, I just was like, none of this is reality. And, on the flip side of that, you have girls just breaking down. Tiffany's body was broken, like,
Yep.
girls
Cindy ended
crying.
up having going in
Cindy,
the
yeah.
ambulance because of the exhaustion.
Yep.
She was in one of my groups for one of the challenges. It's so interesting. I at the time we thought we were walking in to become superstars, and we didn't know that this
Yeah.
is like reality TV is blowing up, and that more than half of our experience was reality TV. Was like,
Yeah.
let's make a moment. Let's embarrass people.
Yeah.
Let's pit them against each other. Let's have a good time. Let's make it so that let's get the
Yeah.
ratings up. And it's so
Yeah.
hard when your mind state is, Dominique, get the dance move. Dominique, figure it out so you can get in this group. But the things that are happening are being watched and and frankly exploited. I mean, it's
Let's
I
just
think
call
that's
it
an
what it
accurate
is.
word. We
Yeah.
signed up for it, but we
Yeah.
didn't
But we didn't
realize.
know. No. And
Just
I
like you
think a
said,
lot of my frustration wasn't even with girls, it was with the process and the situation because as someone who trained, I mean, I guess I started late, but I started training at the age of 13 to be a professional dancer. I was working from I was 14 making like there's ethics, there's a code, there's a script, there's things that you do to make a career. And I wasn't experiencing any of that. And not to say that like, okay, this was different because like you're making the band. So I'm like, yes, okay, obviously this is New York City and you're with the big wigs, but I'm just like, you got these girls out here flailing and you're not teaching them anything. And so this is where little things would come in when there would be challenges and I'd be frustrated with the harmony or frustrated because Taquita was always like before, and I love this about her, but before we'd even start on the assignment, she would be talking about outfits and
yeah.
hair, and she'd be in the mirror, and I would like, it was funny. And now, of course, I laugh so much, but I was like, girl, we got like, like not point not minutes to get this together,
Yep.
4-part
Yep.
harmonies. And you talk
Focus.
about
Please
outfits?
focus.
Oh, and the one challenge, so memorable moments, Central Park was one. Um, just some of the moments that got edited, the whole Aubrey situation where I'm getting up. So the night before, we got to do Times Square and sing for our supper or whatever. And we get the assignment, and straight away, again, I'm just like, I'm going to stand back because I don't really want this. I just need to be on TV long enough for it to matter. And
Hello.
so I'm like, y'all pick parts. And so Aubrey automatically picks the Christina Aguilera part with Lady Marmalade because she kept saying Diddy, like Diddy's expecting it of her. Like this Diddy's, because Diddy's also on her that you're not a real singer. And he's like, so she's got to show. I'm like, okay, cool, it's your part. And then everyone pick your parts. And so I'm like, whatever, I'll sing. And nobody could sing the low harmony. So I was like, I'll take it because I'm good at harmonies. Like, that's a fact. I'm good at harmonies and I have a good ear. So I was like, I'll take it. I don't care. I just want to get it done. And, you know, all day, all night, Aubrey's running this part. And she's like wearing out her voice, and there's no warm up and there's no nothing. And she's coming to me she's on the other side of the apartment, worried about the note. I says, girl, rest your voice. Stop singing. She goes away. I still hear her, hey, 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 like across I sleep on one side, she's on the complete other, and I can hear her clear as day. I'm like, girl, what is she doing? So the next morning, whatever. So she's all worried. And I said, look, just putting this out there. If you don't feel, no, then she comes and panics. So like her voice is gone. I said, please, for the love of God, stop singing. Just rest your voice. You'll be there tomorrow. Just belt it out. You'll be fine. She's like, she's so worried. This girl's in tears. And I'm like trying to give her the best advice that I can. Because that's what I would do if I was on a gig or whatever, and I've lost my voice. I'd shut up and rest. And so this is like the professional, I mean, it's common sense, but this is like the professional part of me that's trying to help. And I don't want our group to sound crazy because she lost her voice as well. Like it impacts the whole group. So girl's voice not coming back. And I'm just like, look, why don't I sing your harmony? You learn my note, and then we'll switch for again, this is what I would do in a real life situation. But for someone who might not be used to doing backing vocals and switching parts, that might be a big ask. But I didn't know how else to say, I didn't want to say lip sync because there'll be a note missing. And so I was like, just take my part. She definitely don't want to sing in the basement. That's not going to show off her voice.
Yeah.
And I get it. No one wants that. Everyone wants to solo the high part. I don't care. So I'm like, have it. And then you can still go up for your note, but at least you've rested your voice for most of the song. She comes in the morning. She wakes up and she's like, with the note. Like, Aubrey. And so she comes disturbing me while I'm making my peanut butter bagel. And I've got a bagel in my hand and I got a knife. And I'm very animated and I talk with my hands. And I'm like, girl, I told you to da 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 da. Well, the edit is I'm threatening her with a knife and cursing her out. And then the eyes and the eyes and the eyes, and like something happened and none of that happened. So that was a
Yeah.
funny moment that I saw later. Um,
A leader has arisen in our group, Denosh.
Honestly, it was frustrating for me.
Aubrey, I'm like, for real, I don't understand. If somebody wants me to sing their note, they need to come so we can practice. I'm not gonna just hit it. No, I was calling. No, sweetie, she was asking me something, and I was calling you before.
I didn't hear you.
Okay, I know that. That's why I called you 3 times. I just kept calling you until you come.
Well, I was in the room and I heard you, and as I was walking in, I heard you gossiping or whatever about me.
Sweetie, it wasn't gossip. Wasn't talking about you.
Okay, so if you want, I know, but when I walked in, I heard you saying like a bunch of stuff.
No, all I said was, if I'm gonna be singing other notes, I need to practice. That's it, okay? There's nothing deep.
The way that Denosh approaches her leadership abilities is incredibly stifling.
I just need you to relax. I would like you, I'm asking you to relax. If you can't hit a note, I got you. I just need to rehearse it, but I got you.
I think another on-camera moment was that whole Taquita dance battle thing, where I didn't care, but I started to get frustrated with the narrative. And I was just like, all right, well, if it's you or me, I mean, I'm definitely going to fight. At this point, I'm going to fight for my position. I'm going to take you out. I'm not trying to but I'm going to dance. This is what I do. So that was a funny moment that seems to show itself.
Sometimes you have sets of girls that kind of match and marry each other, and there's no way I would take both of y'all. I would only take one of y'all. There's no way I would take both of y'all. So one of y'all gonna have to go.
But another really memorable moment for me that was off camera was Miami, where we were all praying in my room. And, it hurt me to know that I really tried to open up a space for everybody to feel safe, to pray for, with, to cry, just to commiserate, and while I was doing that, they were plotting and planning to create some other narrative. And then the last thing I will say was when we all had the break and came back for the final, and my last performance with Diddy, I felt like I had a breakthrough. This was a personal moment. I felt like I had a breakthrough because I did feel like, I guess it probably started on tour, where this man just didn't believe I was talented enough. I was never, I mean, girl, I won't get into what touring life was with him, but we were constantly told our hair wasn't, if you were a dark skinned girl, you had to be exceptional. You had to have mixed hair.
That stings.
And if it wasn't mixed, then it had to be, blown to death. It had to be bone straight, to the point where my hair was damaged for years. And couldn't get it to curl back. And we had a stylist on tour, which is also fabulous, because he was like, somebody's going to do these weaves and keep this hair long and straight. And, so I never felt accepted by him as a dancer, as anything. And then to be in this situation where, I saw later, he's just like, I don't think that, Denosh and the girl, it's like oil and water. And he's always because he's just always been challenging me every interaction I've had with him. And he never gives me credit. And I think at that moment where I had off screen, before we came back from the break, I was working with my vocal coach, and he's always you've been singing like a background singer. He's like, it's time for you to step up. And we worked on it. We really worked on it. And then that last moment, I just was like, I'm done. When I got out there, I was just like, I'm done with you. And then he was like, oh, there she is. And you know what? Maybe for him, I don't think it wasn't like I wasn't showing up before, but I think there was a confidence that when I did step in the room with him, that I felt already less than and intimidated, or that I had to prove, and so it was actually a nice little, for me, a little personal moment that I got to take away from that.
But I was gonna say, I'm trying to decide if I should stay here while we are on Diddy. Floor is open. Relationship, post making the band, plead the fifth. The people do what they need to do here, okay? Praying for that man. I don't know if you saw the episode with me and Malika. I mean, the gambit can be run here. The floor is open on Diddy. It can be closed or you can just whatever.
Is this a free space or do you have a question?
I think that you've had many interactions with Diddy, even way more so than all the rest of us from the show, even before making the band. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you gleaning just some of it, just what tour life was like with him. There's a lot. I mean, the man's in prison, right? There's a lot happening there. Are you
Mhm.
okay? That's what I'll say. Are you okay
I'm
post
so
Diddy?
good. Yeah, I'm good. Like I learned a lot being with him, being around him, in the many different ways that I've been around him. And I wasn't a constant, but I always felt like whenever I showed up, people like, oh, she's here again. Because I've always I've always looked at Diddy with a side eye. Always. Not like before I worked with him, because I think we were all mesmerized by this persona, right?
Mm-hmm. Keep it real. Yeah,
I've
that's
been,
real.
I was excited to go to my first party. Forgot the name of the Italian restaurant. You always have these parties, and like to be around that. I was like, you were in, like not in, but like it was something to be around. It was fun. And it
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, and what he was doing in the industry and like this the whole thing. It was just like growing up in Toronto, we looked to, as far as like black music makers, icons, at that time, we grew up in the Diddy area. We grew up with
Mm-hmm.
Uptown and Mary J and so all of that. So it was, for me, it was a dream come true. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I get to be around this guy. And then I quickly was like, he's full of it.
Mm.
He's full of it. And when he's your boss, like you respect that he's your boss. And but I don't know. I was around a lot of other, I guess, being around some of the New York girls who were like, and then we had allies, I guess, that worked with him. Like we formed relationships with people, um, just because we were always seeing them. So there were a couple of people that would look out for us, make sure like checks were paid, or if like, Diddy decided to take off, we would make sure we got a ride home. Like it was just,
Mm-hmm.
there were some people around, some good
You have
people.
people
And I'm
covering
sure,
you.
yeah, like just, we were all young girls. So I think that there were some consciences there that were like, you're like my little sister. I can't have you out in the streets like this. Or,
Mm-hmm.
and some of his security guards like looked after us and stuff like that. So I didn't feel like I could never walk away or be like challenge him, because there was already a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that going on. But at the end of the day, if he was your boss, he was your boss. But I do
Mm-hmm.
remember having like being on tour and having to stage a sit in a couple of times, or like like not a sit in, but like a
A little form
run
of
us
protest.
our, yeah, like we were out in Dublin, or no, I think we were in Germany. I think it was the first and we hadn't been paid for none of the rehearsals. We had no per diems, and this man was trying to run rehearsals from like 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m. and
Oh my gosh.
one day, me and the dancers, we were all just
And it's
like we
to
tried
think
to
about
get
how
so
much
many
money
things
this
done.
man has. That's the
Yeah,
thing that's killing me. We're not out here trying to make it together. You made it, baby. You made it, brother. You made it. You
it
got
did.
the cash.
It didn't make sense. I just didn't understand it. And then I was just like,
Yeah.
but then like, the right label person will look after it, make sure it was done. And I get it. Maybe that wasn't his stuff. Like I get you, you're Diddy. You're supposed to have people for that. But there was
Mm-hmm.
just, it was always like, why is there an issue? Like we just want to do our jobs. We're just out here. Um, there was one time where oh God, it's just silly stuff that didn't need to exist, but we were
Yeah.
out on tour and we were all in our rooms, just like settling in. And we get this like knock on the door, and everybody's got to come to the lobby and for a meeting. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is standard. And he's in the lobby and he like orders everybody to get dressed. And he's like, now we just got fresh sew-ins. Now again,
Hello, bees.
I'm gonna sound ungrateful, but no, we were happy. I was very grateful for that. One of the best things of the tour. So our hair's wrapped because we know it's gotta be like, we don't get to rehearse with do-rags and things. Like it's gotta be. And he's like, take them do-rags off your head. Y'all look like what, I don't know. And we were ordered to go out. So we had to like go out, and we get in this convoy of cars, and we go somewhere, I don't know, in the middle of nowhere, to this club, and we're all there and still don't have PDs, still ain't been paid, and we're hanging out. and like no, and we're jet lagged and nobody wants to be there. And we're like, why are we here? And then I don't know. We just all right, we'll just have fun. And I guess someone had a bottle of something. So we didn't have like no one had money. We're young broke dancers.
Yeah, yeah.
And we finally got something to drink. And then I don't know, spun around. Diddy was nowhere to be found. I don't even know if we'd been there for an hour. Just left us.
The
And
convoy
then
left
the
y'all.
security, well, the convoy is like probably 3/4 of it was for him, and there were a couple cars that took us back.
Yeah.
That security made sure we got back.
You're like, why? Why? What are we doing? What
And
are
it
we
was
doing?
always like, are you out of your mind? Like it was just always that. I don't know. And at some point, I felt like a little sister because I was just like, he kind of treated us. There was a couple of us that, so there was a big group, and then there was some like a smaller designated group that did most of his stuff. And I was part of that
Mm-hmm.
smaller group because I, again, was like, I worked under Laurianne. So I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of the gigs for that particular project at the time. And it was just always something that I was just like, and he'd always get an eye roll, and I'd be like, yeah, but my personality is I tend to treat older black men like my big brothers too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, I guess this is what comes with Diddy. But again, like, this isn't a record deal on the line. I'm just a paid dancer, but you want to work, right? You want
Mm-hmm.
to do the job, you want to get paid. And you're working with like the biggest star in hip hop. So there's things that you feel like you might have to do or deal with. And I'm not saying like the stuff that's come out with some other people, but just putting up with his foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just got to the point where, and I'd pop up again. And then it was like his birthday, or Cipriani's, that was the name of the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we
And
just
I
did
don't
an
know whose
event there.
idea.
I
Oh,
just
was
was
that
at
the
an
with
event
Day
there.
26 that you did?
No,
Or
no,
was
no.
that,
That was their tour. I in my
oh,
former life was a school principal, and I worked for an organization that we had our 30th anniversary gala at Cipriani last
oh,
year.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Nice. So I don't know whose idea it was, but I think it might have been Laurianne's, me and some other girls, we were going to come out of the cake. Now, this is a dance job. And I was going to sing, uh, Hey, Big Spender from Sweet Charity. So we rehearsed this whole thing. We have all the outfits. And then there's this moment. Now I'm really nervous because you've seen photos of his parties, or if you've probably been to, there's everyone and anyone could be there. Anyway, it's a short little rendition, but I jump out the cake. I come out last. And he's just like, he kind of laughs, but it's like, I'm back. Like, you're not getting rid of me. And now I'm singing Big Spender. And, this is again after rejection of like, you can't sing. I keep popping up in his
Yeah.
life in different ways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been an interesting thing with him. But I think eventually I stopped caring. Like I didn't care so much about what he thought or whatever until the show came. And that's when I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I think all of those things sort of crept up. And I'm like, oh, I gotta but even during the show, I was like, please cut me. Please let today be the day. Like, I just want to go home. I want to go back to Brooklyn. I want
Mm-hmm.
and you know what was really interesting is that we talk about like this sort of beginning of reality TV show that we didn't know was happening. But do you remember that per diem that they gave us to live in
Girl, it
Soho
was
for a week?
$92 after taxes per week. I have checks. I've posted them on my show. We made $100 a week in New York City in
In the
2005.
most
There was
expensive neighborhood, one of.
no food provided. Remember they used to put like bananas and eggs. There was like three staples that they put in there. And we had to
Yeah.
buy our own food, do our own hair, do our own makeup, clothe ourselves outside of confessionals, and like when we made it to the end. I will
Yeah.
sing that to the cows
To the
come home because it was
listen.
wild. It was
It
so
was
wild.
wild. And I remember being annoyed because girls were out on Canal Street buying bags and then coming back and be like, uh, can I have some of your food? I'm like, no. But of course I would share my food, but I'm just like, y'all, you can't, like, I live in New
Literally.
York. I need you to save your per diems and stop buying fake Gucci and
Yep.
that
Yep.
Aubrey
And I'm from New
bought
York
those.
City, so I got that in a way that some of the other girls didn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know, just abuse. But he was part and parcel of all of that, even though it was a machine. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
he's a clown.
the things that come up for me as you say this is I don't know how this is going to sound, but what a blessing to
Say it.
feel like that I just had to put up with his foolishness. right? As you're
Yeah.
learning the
Yeah.
things that other folks put up with, dealt with, folks that were brought to harm,
Mm-hmm.
it almost feels like a skate. It feels like a
Yeah.
whew.
Like
I,
we
I
got
just
off.
had to
Yeah.
put up with some wild stuff, but maybe not some of that stuff. I think about my own experience and I'm like, sometimes being the dark skinned girl, I mean, I hate to say this because I grew up in the world. I'm a dark skinned woman, right? Like we deal with the,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you're cute to be dark skinned, the
But just
ignorance,
yeah.
ignorance on ignorance on ignorance
Yeah.
around dark
Yeah.
skinned women. And then you
Yeah.
have a situation like this come up and you like, look, I'm kind of glad that maybe I'm not somebody's cup of tea. Like it's very scary, and people are always like, you turned down the deal with Diddy. What made you? And I'm like, God,
Got
Andre Harrell. Like there's a little mix of things in there, but
yeah.
really I didn't have no real deep discernment at the age of 20. God was
No,
present in that.
no.
God was all the way present in me turning down the solo deal that was offered to me. And
And I yeah, no,
go.
I just wanted to piggyback off of that when you talk about God and being in the whole situation because it's I think one of the things that I had learned that I have learned and that was like fortified and confirmed time and time again was that space that he inhabits and anything around him was not a safe space. And people
Mm,
who were good people were compromised. And as much as we say it's not the same thing, what was at stake? It was our self-esteem. It was anything to break us down and make us feel like we needed that system. We needed to benefit from that system. Like you started out coming because you wanted the record deal and then you got it.
mm-hmm.
And it was like, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but do you know what I mean? But so, yes, no, thank God we didn't have to go as far. And, someone in one of his organizations said, because I remember talking to them honestly, and I said, I always feel like I'm not good enough. And I don't know if they said this. I think they thought this was a compliment, but they were like, "Believe me, Diddy wouldn't have anyone around him that he didn't want to sleep with or that he didn't think was attractive." And I was like, "Okay, I feel much better now." Like, what? Was that supposed to be some consolation prize?
It was in their eyes.
But
It
this is
was.
it,
It was
right? And
supposed to be that
so
in their eyes, and that's what's scary.
and for me, I think being an employee that was contracted and attached, I always had it out. I was never in a situation like where, I was a personal assistant
Mm-hmm.
or I was his love
Mm-hmm.
interest or he never hit on
Yeah.
me in that way. So
Yeah.
I that wouldn't have been my story, but it was still the same mind games that were being played. It's just like if you didn't have something else to lean on, then you were probably more susceptible to get dragged or brought
Absolutely.
through, and into that harmful space like so many people were.
Yeah.
But
That makes me also think though about your relationship with Laurianne. I mean,
mhm,
I hope I can get Laurianne to come and sit and talk with me at some point. But like, how does that work, right? Like you two
yeah,
were closer than I even realized, right? And
she was the
she
big
is.
sister.
Yeah. Are
She's
you
the
guys
big
still in
sister to
touch?
me. Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we weren't for a while, and then would see her randomly in LA. I think we both lived in LA for. I think she might still be there, but I
Mm-hmm.
would see her on occasion, and I think I mourned our relationship because, well, first and foremost, when the show ended, I mean, I was all too happy to be up out, and I had a difficult time, a little bit of a difficult time after the show ended and trying to move through to try to salvage any scraps of it. Could anything be useful to help me move forward? And I had some good advice from a friend or someone I knew at the time that was just like, do not play into the narrative. Don't build a career on the narrative that they're trying to create. She's like, I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know you that well, and I know that's not you. She's like, you don't want
Come
to
on.
build a career being because I started being called like Omarosa, like they were comparing me to that again, strong, outspoken black female. I don't agree with all her politics, but like, she was
Mm-hmm.
visible and she stood for what she stood for. But I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
so this is what this I'm Omarosa now just because I'm a dark skinned girl. Like it was just wild what
Yeah.
people,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
but the way that they were kind of turning me into like the villain of that season, whatever merit that had, she was just like, no, absolutely not. Don't go in that direction. She was like,
Yep.
and I did, and so I didn't have but I didn't have anything to take with me, not anything career wise. And then Laurianne was unfortunately unavailable to me.
Yeah.
And
How did things break down with the two of you? Because
they,
prior,
there was no breakdown. I just didn't. I think we had a conversation after the show, briefly, and she kind of, she kind of consoled me, and she was like, "Don't worry, girl, it's gonna be good. Like, I got you, I got you." And then I don't actually know. Like, I look back and go, "What did I expect from her?"
mm,
Um, I thought maybe our relationship would resume. Like I was like, "Oh, I'm back. I'm the same girl. I'm looking for work and da 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 da," and that wasn't there.
got you.
Um, but then she had her own stuff going on too. So like maybe, yeah, maybe there was no room for me in that, and that's okay. But the relationship was gone, and it wasn't like a falling out happened.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to speak out of turn. Nothing happened. There was no. I didn't find out she was talking bad about me, or she was behind the scenes doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. There was nothing. So I kind of just carried on, and I was just like, and then I'm not gonna lie, like someone who'd mentored me for years, who was like my big sister, um, who I was like dealing with some backlash and felt I could definitely use some guidance moving forward, and wanted to kind of pick up the pieces and keep building my career, wasn't there to help me continue to build it. And I don't feel like I even got a chance to ask or say, "Hey, this is what I want to do now." She was just gone,
Yeah.
and that was it. It
That
was
is
nothing.
that is hitting me. It's hitting me
Yeah.
because I'm thinking about all the things we were just talking about that happened before making the band, and
Mhm.
obviously Laurianne and Diddy included, but especially Laurianne.
Mhm.
But the momentum that you had behind you
Mhm.
before doing this show feels like it was so severely impacted by this show. I saw
Well,
go.
no, no, no. You please
I was gonna
continue.
say I saw a clip of bryan-michael Cox on I think one of the guys at Boyz II Men has a
Oh,
podcast, and I
the
heard him
podcast.
talking about Day
Yeah.
26 and how
Mhm.
they just should have been one of the biggest, R&B male R&B
Yeah.
groups in the world, and that he felt like doing making the band actually hurt them in terms of
Mm.
how they were seen. And I'm comparing
Yeah.
that now to hearing you with Mariah and Justin Timberlake and Brandy and
Yeah.
Faith and Diddy and them, but just on and Debbie Allen, right?
Yeah.
And then this experience that isn't really about your talent. We learned doing it,
Mhm.
right? Wasn't really about
Yeah.
our talent. Was
No.
about,
No.
how much money they could make really doing reality TV. This is the new popping
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then there's this image of you that I can only,
Mhm.
I don't care what nobody say. I speak from my heart and my experience, and I was there, and the people
Yeah.
who were watching it wasn't. You weren't a villain. You
Mhm.
weren't this evil person. You were literally a
Yeah.
big sister to the vast
Yeah.
majority of us. But that's just
Yeah.
not how it played out in terms of airing. Right?
Yeah.
I was marketed as the fat girl, and I weighed 120
Mhm.
pounds. You can't, like, what you gonna do about the way that
Yeah.
they decide to market
Yeah.
that? But the impact, like,
Mhm.
now I want to hear about more of the impact beyond this closeout of your relationship with Laurianne.
Yeah.
Were you able to get work after? How did your career shift, and how did we get to just where we are today?
So two things happened. I think were happening at the time. Reality TV show. We were the prototype. So there was like there were some other things, but the music shows, we were the prototype. And this is where, like, even the season before, where like they created the Laurianne character, the boom cat, the whole, where they made Jason this crazy, and Jason is eccentric and fabulous, but he is far from what, people don't know him. They don't know him. He's in a dance world. He's a legend, but they don't know him. Now, all of a sudden you have these, and so it actually wasn't that deep. For me, I think at the time, it is my whole world and it's my identity. And for someone and all of us who actually were there to make the band and get a deal and like do something with your, like, try to get a start in your career, the music mattered, but it didn't matter that much to anyone else. So it actually wasn't that significant. Now, I was just watching America's Next Top Model thing. And when I heard from some of the girls, obviously, like that the show hurt them and that no one would take them seriously because of all these different reasons. That really wasn't my full experience, but
Good.
it is one of the reasons I left New York. Um, we went on that was it the morning show or was something, we went to that
Oh, Miss
radio
Jones.
girl. I have PTSD from that. And again, it was a short moment, but like they were so cruel to me.
9:19 on Miss Jones in the morning on Hot 97.
Miss Jones is a DJ who has a reputation for being very aggressive. Today we're going on the show and we expect the worst,
So Dominique, you used to be fat.
but I don't even think that we expect it to be as bad as it is.
Now you're like 42. Wait, no, 29 years old.
No, you got jokes, huh?
So you've been around this industry a long time. It says you are a backup dancer for everyone. Run down a list.
Yeah.
I've worked for Mariah Carey. I've worked for Jay.
Get out. She said, Mariah, get out.
It's over.
Man, just being ripped to shreds that early in the morning was
So cruel to me.
Oh my
And that's what they
gosh.
do,
And
though. They were just like, whatever, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
it was
And
wild. It was wild.
It was just so wild and unnecessary.
And girl, I talked about that on my show. I said nothing negative about any of them. I literally said
Yeah.
we went on. We thought Diddy told them to go hard on us because they were really mean.
Yes,
Do you
yes.
know Miss Jones cursed me out in my comments on Instagram and blocked me? It was so, and I used to love Miss Jones. I know Miss Jones as an
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah,
Radio.
yeah.
She was a singer who I liked
Yes.
as a singer as a kid. I wasn't really listening. I wasn't in New York when she was on the radio. I
Right,
wasn't really listening
right.
to it.
Yes, you did.
Baby,
Yeah.
she got in them comments. And when I say a hit dog is gonna holla, I didn't say anything crazy about this woman at all. I literally was talking about my experience. She called me a clout chaser. If you want to be around me and you want this, that, and the third, you could have just said that. And I'm like, damn, that's what I didn't know you was really evil person
But you
at your
just-
core. I
you-
thought Diddy put you
yeah,
up
you're
to
just- You're just showing your like seriously, you're gonna come from, not to say who am
Little
I,
old
but
me,
really?
girl, what I do? Yeah, but
this is-
seriously, I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
people have said all these negative things about you over time, and I'm not paying no mind to them because I don't know you to know that that's
You're
true.
talking about
and then
your
you go
experience.
hello.
And
Then
then
you
you
go
showed
show your
your
ass in
ass.
my comments, and now I know who you are. Now I know who you are. And now I know that
Wow.
all that stuff
Ooh.
gotta be some fire where the smoke is because she literally
Yeah.
and I didn't have to do anything. My family
No.
and fans were
Everybody
lighting
went
her up
in.
because they're just like, what did Dominique do to you? She can't talk about her own story and her own experiences.
Oh no, she's
Girl,
having
it
a
was
rough time
it
or something.
It was crazy.
That's
but
not about you.
But the things they were saying to you, calling you an old lady, it
Yeah.
was horrible.
And
it was
I
horrible.
took it on the chin. I was just like, whatever, like, okay, go ahead, do your worst. Like, I didn't care that much, but it was hard. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, I mean, because what was the social media at the time? Was it Facebook? No, not Facebook. Was it
It's
MySpace?
Mm-hmm.
And thank God you're from the MySpace generation. Because when I say some
Yes,
people,
I
they're
am.
like, what?
Oh, girl, I had the MySpace friends.
So I went on there and I think either maybe my husband, someone, whatever, somehow I had a profile and I would go on there and oof, it was vile, vile.
Mhm.
I think for every 10 comments, negative ones, I'd get like a good one. Like it was vile. It was hard. It was really hard. And we were all scrambling after that, or some of us were. I didn't get an offer of a deal or anything. I had some friends in the industry that were like, okay, let's try to let's do some music. Let's, independently, we'll do our own thing. And so I remember doing something with a DJ Cypher Sounds who was good like people, and the song really didn't do anything. It wasn't the right kind of song. It was just trying to come back with something quick to just be like, oh,
Yeah.
she's
Come off that steam. Yeah.
But yeah, and then people are like, oh, you got to get a publicist and you got to do this and you got to go on these talk shows, and I'm like, okay. Like I didn't know why I was doing it. This was like, I don't have anything to say. I have nothing to promote. I don't want to my phone, I got a couple calls for stuff, but my phone wasn't ringing. It wasn't like that for me. And what I realized, even though it was kind of quiet, it also meant nobody really cared. Like it didn't have this, but what was most harmful for me were some of the comments that were in my inbox. And
Absolutely.
then somebody was just like, stop reading it. And eventually I did. I stopped. And I moved to LA not because I was like, I gotta run away, but there were some things going. My lawyer at the time was like, come out here. Well, he was moving and he's like, I want to be out here and I want you to come out here with me. We're gonna do your stuff from here. My ex-boyfriend who lived with me at the time, he didn't really like New York. And so he wanted to kind of he'd been touring for years and he was just like, I want to be in LA. And I was like, I guess we go in LA. I've always wanted to go to LA. And so I went out to LA. And then the day before, no, like a couple days before I was moving, or that I moved, I got a call from somebody. Oh, Brian Friedman, I think, or no, some director, choreographer had seen me do something, and basically they did this big audition, and they didn't find. They were looking for singers for Madonna, and they came up short. And then my name came to the top of the list with two other people. And so they were ready to fly me out. And I was like, I'm actually moving to LA in like 3 days. They're like, perfect. We'll see you on Monday. And I didn't get that job, but I mean, I got to audition for the musical director who we ended up having like a mutual friend in common. And I went to the audition and I was just kind of plopped back into I'm a working singer again.
Yeah. Yeah. You
And so
got
that
back
didn't
in the
happen,
bag. You got
but
back in the groove.
yeah. And so again, great experience, got to meet some great people. One of the first people I ever met in the industry, Nikki, who sang for Mariah, which was my first gig. She ended up getting the gig, but I hadn't seen her since 97. This is
Oh my
2006.
gosh.
And I'm like, Nikki! I was so happy. Like, I'm like, you deserve the job. I think she's
Yeah.
far better vocalist than I am. But anyway, so then there was a couple of months of nothing, and I was just in LA, like didn't have a car, and I was just like starting over and trying to figure it out. And I was going to dance class, and just I had a big dance community, and my dance agent was there, my lawyer was there, so we were just kind of being strategic with stuff. And then one of my friends who I did the previous Justin tour with was like, "Oh, he's auditioning." I was like, "Oh, I want to come. I just wanted to see because I didn't get hear about anything."
Yeah.
I was like, he's like, "Yo, I've been taking his class," and he's like, "You should." He's like, "Yo, you could really dance for him." And I was just like, oh, that'd be fine. But I was like, I'd miss singing. But I was like, I don't think that they're gonna call me. So I was like, I'll just go with you. He's like, just come to the audition because there's not a lot of black girls that like dance like you. And it's like, okay. I go to the audition and we sneak in the side and he sees me. He's like, Dee, big hug. And we're standing at the mirror and I'm like at the front with him. So now I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not auditioning as a dancer because this would be awkward. I'd be like, okay. So I just stood there. It was fine. And then he was just like, um, Sexy Back was playing. And I'd never heard anything like that. And I'm like, oh, this song is wild. I'm like, oh, who is this? He's like, it's me. I'm like, this is your new song? And he's like, yeah, I was in the studio with Timbaland and he had me singing through a guitar amp and boom, he's telling me about how he makes the whole song. He's like, yo, we're gonna have so much fun
Yeah.
on tour this year. I said, we gonna have fun on tour? He's like, yeah, you're coming, right? And then the next day the
Oh, I
MD called me and
love
he's
this.
like, yeah, we're going. So I was right back.
So wait,
and then I started,
this tour with Justin Timberlake, you danced or you sang?
no, I sang. I didn't bother
I
auditioning
love
as a
it.
dancer, but I hadn't heard
Yeah.
anything up until then.
Yeah.
And my ex, who was his keyboard player, he got the call from the musical director, but I guess the calls were coming. And so then the next day, the MD called and he's like, yeah, so I was like, okay. And then I was
I
I was
love
kind of
it.
off to the races. So then, like a couple like weeks later, Johnny Wright walks into rehearsal and he's like, come here.
Oh my
I
gosh,
need a
I
big
love
hug.
it.
And then Justin pulls me aside and he's like, are you crazy? He's like, what? You have no business going on that show. He said, those people are crazy and da da da
Come
da.
on.
And they watched the whole thing. And I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, the whole time I just thought, you're crazy. You're such an incredible art, like talent. And he's like, why would you do that? Like, and so anyway, I felt really good because I felt like I was among my peers and they all
Yeah, the
got
people
me.
who know
And
you. That's yep. If you know me, you
yeah,
know me. So it don't matter what they showing y'all on this TV screen. You know me,
yeah.
and you were kind of
And
back
that
to yourself.
and that's what I can say about the work that I done in the industry is that I really worked hard as a professional to build my career. And thank God I did because it was what was right there waiting for me. Um when I left the show. And so, the little things popped up down the many years later about the show, but it was never really detrimental to
Yeah, and I
me.
love
Just in
that for
that
you.
time and space, I think being in New York wouldn't have been a safe space for me. And I'm glad that I left. Yeah.
Girl, I'm glad too. You're looking good, okay? Probably
Thank
smelling good.
you.
You out here in Europe. Talk to me about how we
Yeah.
got from LA to Europe and what you are doing today in 2026.
So I moved to LA in 2006. I went back on tour with Justin. After Justin, what did I do? I finished that tour, and then we had like a really long break where we thought he was coming back, and it was just being extended and extended. So, we all thought that, well, when he's ready, we'll get the call and we'll go. And so I did some things like every year he had a charity gig. We were called back to do it. And then there was one year where there really wasn't much going on, and they just didn't offer us the same deals that we did. And I had just come off of a tour. So another artist that I worked for in the interim was Colby Calais. And that kind of fell in my lap because I found a church, and then they found out that I sang, and someone there was a manager of somebody and whatever. Fast forward, I go on this tour, and it's like a little quick thing. And I'm like, look, I might not be the person you're looking for, but they needed someone like ASAP. I said, I'm a fast learner. So I said, I can get you through this show for the weekend. I said, if you're not happy with my voice, I said, I'm happy to like maybe introduce you to some singers and like maybe help you find the right person, but at least I can get you through the show. It ended up working out that we gelled well, blah, 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 blah. Moving forward, there was at some point, I think I just jumped on and I did it, and I just took whatever they were offering me. I later realized I was being underpaid. And so I asked for more, which I felt was like decent. So they gave me more, a little bit of a fight, but I then later realized that with all my experience and with everything that I had grown into, I brought to the role, I was really being paid like far less than everybody. And I wasn't happy with that. Long story short, I finished the tour and I was just like, yeah, I'm done. Um, I went on to work with Drake, which was really lovely because it was one of my best friends that I'd gone to high school with. He was on that gig, and there was just a bunch of Canadian boys, and I was just like, it just felt like home. It was so much fun,
Yeah.
and it was also
Wait, one
different
of
because I
your
was just
best
like,
friends was on tour with Drake. That's how you
was
got connected.
yes,
Got you.
sorry. And I was like, how do I sing with a rapper? Like, this was just also a different vocal approach. But I learned a
Yeah.
lot, had a great time. And so I was doing these bits and bobs. And I come off tour. And every time I come off tour, I'm like, I'm going to go to dance class. I'm going to go to train my voice. And it's like, come off and I'm going to train my voice. And I'm working with my vocal coach. And again, I met him through someone. And he's like a friend, but he's also a like world renowned vocal coach. And I'm like, I want to extend my range. So I'm working with him. And then like 3 weeks after working with him, my voice gets really hoarse. Come to find out, I have a vocal fold injury, which came from another gig, but I didn't complete like after my voice, I thought my voice healed. I didn't go get it checked out. My voice just came back and I was like, I can sing, but there was a polyp there that made, anyway, got to the point where they were like, you have to get rid of this thing. So I had to have surgery. And I had the surgery, and then I had to go through this rehabilitation process. And while I'm rehabilitating, it's like part of it is like you don't speak for X amount of weeks. Then you can slowly start speaking again. Then you can speak a little bit more. And then after like the 3 week period, you can start using your voice again. So training it to sing. So
Yeah, I had the
whilst
same
I'm
surgery in 2017.
really,
It was horrible.
what did
While
you
I was a
have?
dean.
Did you have
Vocal
nodules
cord
or just like
surgery, nodules.
you had
And
nodules?
I was a dean in school, and so I
Screaming
couldn't
at all
talk for
the
weeks.
damn kids.
Yeah, it was horrible. So I just know
Oh
the pain of it,
no.
but
Yeah.
I made it through, and
And
I'm back.
yeah. So
Yeah.
unfortunately that
So
was
you
my
had the
second.
surgery.
I had the surgery, and then I was on voice rest. And while I'm on voice rest, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to keep my body in shape. You never know when an opportunity is going to come up. And a friend of mine calls me, and she's like, hey, are you available to do a gig for like James Blunt? And I'm like, sure. All I know is, yeah, if you had the one song, You're Beautiful. But I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm working singers. We sing what's in front of us. And I'm always happy to expand. Like I was doing a lot of the R&B stuff, but it was nice to do the Colby Calais gig and do Drake. And so like my resume is looking nice and flexible in terms of what I can do. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, when's the gig? Okay, cool. I talked to my doctor. They're like, yeah, you should be able to do it. You'll be cleared out of your recovery period. but you got to go immediately to your vocal coach and work with him through your rehearsals to make sure your voice is good. So I do all of that days before, just like 2 days before the rehearsal period. I get the sheet music, and I'm like, "Girl, this says Robbie Williams." I'm like, "You sent me the wrong music," and she's like, "No, this is what the MD sent me." And she's like, "Let me check." And then she comes back and she's like, "No, it's Robbie Williams." And I'm like, "Robbie Williams, like the English guy?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess so." She's like, "You know him?" I'm like, "Yeah, he used to be like this really like kind of badass, funky, cool white boy from the UK. I just remember he had a couple songs. Now I know he had a couple that made it to the US. Well, I was in Canada at that time, and so same kind of thing. But he'd done an MTV Cribs that I actually happened to see, and so that was my most like vivid memory. And I was like, "Oh my God, he's still singing!" And we don't know. So anyway, I do this gig. We have a blast, and that becomes the beginning of a 12-year relationship with him.
I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was here, Robbie, okay?
From Laurianne, Denosh, and SJ on BV's. 'Cause I'm your lady, and you are my man. Whenever
Where
gosh.
for the first, so this is 2012, I guess 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. I'm living in LA and I'm going back and forth to the UK and I'm touring with him. And I didn't know what he wanted. I was just like, I'm just gonna do me. And he was like, I want that.
Oh, I
And
love
yeah, it
that.
worked. It worked. And so 2016 happened, Brexit was happening, Trump won the election, and I was like, it's time to go. And that particular tour was not going to be super flexible with me coming back to LA and seeing my husband and stuff. So he's European. And I was just like, should we maybe like go over there and just be over there for a year? And I was also trying to file for my green card. So I was like, I ain't really got nothing to do here right now. So we packed everything up and we moved to London. We were based in London for a year. And then we moved to the Netherlands. We moved to Amsterdam. And
Yeah. And that's where you are now.
yeah, 8 years.
Do,
So a
and do
year
you
in
love it?
London and 8 years. I like it. I think it's
Okay.
like in the beginning, it's like, wow. I mean, you talk about these things, and I think when I started traveling for work on tour with artists, I mean, Mariah, I never came here with. We went to Japan and Australia. Brandy or Diddy, one of them was my first tour. Brandy, I think, was my first tour that brought me to Europe. She did a small European leg. She's the first person I came to Amsterdam with. I remember everything about it. And then Diddy was the next artist. So you have these experiences, and my first coffee shop, which is where you go and you smoke weed and stuff.
Oh,
I
I've
didn't
been to
smoke weed at that time.
Amsterdam.
Oh, have you? I didn't smoke, but I remember being at the bar with with some of like the junior mafia guys or kids or whatever. And they had treats. They had
I was gonna say,
treats.
girl, I can only imagine you being in a coffee shop with junior
No, but
mafia.
it was hilarious. It was really everyone was there, but C's and I became really cool. He's
Yeah.
the sweetest heart.
I've always heard that about Lil C's, that he's just a
Oh my
sweetheart.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like we
Aw.
actually kept in touch for years. Um
Yeah.
Lovely, just lovely. But anyway, I just remember like they were living their best life. It's like
Listen.
Wonderland. And they had these treats. They had these like lollipops and stuff. So I just had a little lollipop, which wasn't really anything. But yeah, I was like my first time. So anyway, but it doesn't really, you never think, oh, I gotta live here. I just, it was nice to visit. And so to have this like sort of thing actualized, you never know like how that path would have, like I would never have met. I mean, I met my husband when I was touring. I was on the second Justin tour. I just met him. And then that became a whole thing. And then eventually we got married in Los Angeles. but we lived there for 11 years and then we decided to come back because I was like, well, why not?
Yeah.
I don't know what other opportunity is going to bring me over here. And thank goodness I was already working with Robbie. So I was like, I have work. And yeah, it's a great city. There's a lot going on beyond just like the commercial stuff, but you might not experience that because you'd have to like come visit me, you know what I mean? Or come visit a
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
or be like, I'm gonna stay for a week and I'm gonna see different cities where a lot of people kind of go, oh, I'm gonna do 2 days in Amsterdam and then we're gonna go to Brussels and Paris or something, New
Mm-hmm.
Amsterdam, London. You see all the sites and as
Exactly.
one
And that's the
would.
only things I've been able to do there is exactly that. So I'm coming to see you,
Yeah.
girl. I have another friend in Amsterdam. Now I have
Yes.
2 reasons
Okay.
to come and take a little
Yes.
decent sized trip.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
actually really surprised about the Black community here and the Dutch Caribbean story, which was, I guess for us, just always connecting to the diaspora. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, and learning about that struggle, and then how they're navigating today, like what the struggles are here for Black Dutch people.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also another thing that made me feel very comfortable. And yeah, I mean, it's considered sort of northern central Europe. So in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, you can be anywhere. And the EU is just this borderless. So it's really easy to get around. And
Yeah.
I love that. I really do love
Yeah.
that. I miss my family. I miss my community that I built in LA and I
Yeah.
miss New York
Yeah.
like crazy. So I don't get to see them as much, but travel has become my life. When I moved to LA, I started to explore after my second vocal hemorrhage. My friend, my vocal coach and mentor was like, well, how are you gonna make money?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know. Because I wasn't going back to dancing. My body shut
Yeah.
that down. And so he was like, you're gonna get on this piano and you're gonna learn these scales and you're gonna teach. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, you gotta make money. And so that was the beginning of me really taking my journey into coaching and performance coaching, which
I love
is
that.
what I do now. That was the inception of it. And I had like a minimal piano training when I was younger, and it's kind of come in and out of my life. And um, but at that moment, it was survival. It was like you got to
Yeah,
eat.
absolutely. You got to eat.
This
Yep.
don't work. You don't
What am I
eat.
going to do? Mm-hmm.
What
So
am I
what do
gonna
you mean?
do?
You said that dance shut your body down, or your body shut down from dance.
Oh, you just age. I mean, dancing. I never worked as a ballerina. I didn't do like a contemporary dance company, but you for some of us who are just like began like street dancing or just are self-taught, you can do a lot of things with your body that you don't really train yourself for. And
Mm-hmm.
you can develop the predisposition for certain injuries that will pop up. But all dancers go through this part. I mean,
Yep.
now thank God we've got like yoga and Pilates where people are really safe transitioning from dance careers safely through that. So
Yep.
it's a nicer way for the body, but the body just stops. You just the hips just
Absolutely.
don't hip anymore, and the legs don't split anymore, and the your ankles hurt because you've been doing music videos and he like does dumb stuff you
All
put
of
your
that.
body through for years. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had a wonderful dance career, but my eye was always it was always going to be part of, and my eyes were always on becoming a vocalist and being a
Yeah.
recording artist or whatever. So once I transitioned to that, I had maybe a few years where thank God my dance chops actually saved me. I was able to do a couple gigs and pay, but I
Mm-hmm.
knew that, I was aging out of that. So
You're
it's
like,
more it was
this
more
ain't no
just
forever thing. Yep.
no, but but like, I mean, the last, I still was able to use that for so many artists, like working with Justin Timberlake, like dance was such a big part of what I did. I got to work with
Mm-hmm.
Rihanna,
Mm.
Alicia Keys, and now Robbie, all artists who were like, we want you to dance and sing and move. And like, so it really
Yeah.
benefited me. But I didn't have to always be the full out dancer who's, I got to sort of do the balance, which was the best of both worlds for me. But I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I was on my way, to do something. And when singing became was full time, like, you know, having injuries really put me in a position to have to learn from them and self heal and
Yep.
figure it out. And so I was brought into this world of like vocal science and vocal health rehabilitation. And I just like was super nerdy. I just drank it up. And I was around all these people this is what they did. They were the voice
Mm-hmm.
scientists and the voice teachers and the speech pathologists and all this, and I just loved that world. So
Oh, I love that.
I spent many years taking courses, mentoring, studying, doing little bits and bobs here, to
Mhm.
just build up that education and add it to what I was doing as a teacher. And then I did, I've been lecturing at different universities through my network. So I got to do a lot of master classes, which was really fun because it's a lot of stuff that they don't teach you in these institutions is how to do it
Absolutely.
or
Absolutely.
what it
I
looks
love
like
this for
doing it.
you.
So you
It's
learn how
you
to do the
being a
music, but you don't know how to be an artist, or you don't know what it is to navigate the industry, or you don't know how to gig or hustle. And,
yeah.
I've been able to go into these spaces and teach them what it's like a real life working singer looks like, or, tell them the industry stuff or the behind the scenes that
Mhm.
you will only know when you experience it. So that's been
Yeah.
a lot of what the work that I've been doing. And then simultaneously just touring with Robbie Williams.
Mhm. You a whole living legend out here.
Oh,
When
you're
I
so
say,
sweet.
I knew some of the things. I had to do my research, but girl, you just have carried that big sister energy. I mean, even if you think about it, in teaching and what you are doing
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
like, girl, to live the life that you've lived, so many experiences that people in their whole lifetime
Yeah. I don't
dream about.
it's it's something that you're just doing your thing. Like you're just doing your do. And
Hmm.
then you sit, and then when you talk about it, you're like, oh yeah, like I'm forgetting an artist that I worked with, or stringing it trying to create this little story for you to go, okay, I did this and this and this is where I am today. And then you hear it and you're like, oh, you can kind
Hmm.
of go, okay, maybe I've done something.
Yeah,
And
maybe you
none of
have.
this was none of this was my plan. Maybe it was God's design. I never
Yep.
knew. But I'm always someone who at some point, I think when the dream of being a recording artist started to fade, and not so much because I gave up on it, but like, the industry shifts. And then you're just like,
Yep.
wait, oh, I got to now do what to be?
Listen, the people who
Let me go back
pivot,
and do
that's
it.
it. It's the people who pivot. The people
Yeah.
who have lasting careers, whether it's behind the scenes or in front of the camera. The
Yeah.
people who know how to pivot with the times are the
Yeah.
ones who make it and last forever. I
I
mean,
hope
it's
so. Because I don't
something
know
to
how to
be
do anything
studied.
else. I don't know how to do anything
But you
else.
are you
But
and you are
but I'm open.
also making waves.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm just open to what the next thing is. And I know I love to create. I do love to perform. I don't know. I never want to lose the ability to sing. So I think I'll
Mm,
always forever be a student, and I'll always be trying to like make sure I still have this. But there's so many things that I still want to do. So, I've spent a lot of time touring and performing, and that's come at a cost too, like
absolutely.
um but now I'm kind of ready. Like I want to like do more musical theater. I'd done that one show and then I never really went back, because I've been on the road, and you learn some things like you don't get a pension on the road and there's no
Mm-hmm.
stability. So you got to like learn how to be really good with your money, and you've got to save, and it's feast or famine. And there's
Mm-hmm.
times where it's going to be like I'm always busy in the summer. And then like, let's say between like January and March, it's dead. Not saying don't make any money, but I make very little
Yeah.
money because people are hibernating and getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a season, right? And you got to grab it all. So,
Yeah.
I'm also open to like a bit slowing down a bit. We mentioned this before, but COVID was a really, I'm sure it was, I know it was challenging for everyone, but for those of us in the entertainment or music industry, especially live, um, I think I maybe earned €1,000 in 2 years. Like the industry
Girl.
was shut down. And I was doing some coaching in the beginning, but then people were just like, I'm not making money, so I can't even
Exactly.
pay you. And we're finding ways to be creative. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna do what I know how to do. I'm gonna exercise. I'm gonna be useful. I'm gonna learn things, and I'm gonna take courses, and I'm just gonna fill my time, right? Because I'm always like, I like to be productive. And exercise, I was like ramping that up. I become vegan
Mm-hmm.
7 years prior, and I was on a health journey to like heal my gut and some stomach issues. And I was going into gut health, and I was taking like all these courses and just all these online stuff, because what else was we going to do? And I started to get sick, and I just was like really tired. I started struggling with fatigue, and I couldn't, someone who's used their body their whole life, like I couldn't use my body all of a sudden. I couldn't hold my arms up for like 2 minutes. I mean, I used to be trained ballerina, you would just be in this position doing port de bras all day. Like you use your arms all the time to dance. And I couldn't even hold my arms out for 30 seconds without getting tired. And I was standing and then I couldn't stand to do exercise. So I had to do everything modified sitting. It was just so weird. And I'm very much in touch with my body. So I began this hunt in August of 2020. It's like, and I started getting these not rashes, but like these hives, these breakouts, which seem to be connected to exercise and a few other physical things. And long story short, I wasn't getting anywhere. And I was like, okay, this is really frustrating because it's one thing to ignore it, but then when you like your life actually stops, you can't ignore it. Because I was like, I've tried to work around it. Like I don't walk fast. I got cold packs for when I exercise. All of that was mad to me, but I was like, if it gets me through, it gets me through. But then it was just the point like I can't do anything. I can't actually exercise. These cold packs ain't doing the
Ain't doing
work.
it. Yep.
It's not doing it. Anyway, I began called my doctor and I began a series of tests or like investigations that included seeing 3 doctors and doing like blood work, urine, echoes, x-rays, all this stuff. And I finally saw an endocrinologist because I was like, maybe it's like lady stuff. Maybe I'm in like perimenopausal or something. And they were like, "Oh, you're not really that sick, whatever." I was just like, "Well, look, you don't know what's wrong, so if I got to see everybody before I find out, I got to see everybody. So we're gonna start here, and then we're gonna keep going." And I went and saw the endocrinologist, and she did an ultrasound. So she had all the prior tests. She could see everything that had been done up until then, and she's like, so she does her own intake and asks me all these questions, and then she does the abdominal ultrasound, and she sees tumors. And I think I'm in the Netherlands, so the word she uses is like lesions, and I guess she's trying to find the right English word for me to understand. Anyway, we came to an agreement that they were tumors. And because of where she saw them, they're in the very common places where they spread. And because they'd spread, it means that they're malignant, meaning cancer. And she didn't know what kind of cancer it was because a lot of cancers show up in those spaces. And she kind of wagered like a guess, not trying to be responsible, but just like based on her. So she sends me to radiology at the hospital the next day. They confirm what they see, but nobody knows what it is. So now I've got to
What
go and
kind of
do like,
cancer?
yeah. So now I've got to do a biopsy of one of the tumors or two and a series of tests to figure out what are we dealing with. And that process starts, I think the 2nd or no, like the 4th of January. And I think by the 19th of January, thank God, because for some people it takes much longer. I got a diagnosis of a rare form of cancer called neuroendocrine tumors. And unfortunately, it's becoming more common because they're discovering it. There's so much more diagnostics now and awareness where it's not being ignored and just like, oh, you got IBS, oh, you got allergies, or, they're actually like, this is a sign of let's go further. And then they're discovering that they're seeing the markers for this and and so early diagnosis means you've got better chances at least of having it removed. Mine had already spread, so that usually means that it's incurable. But the good thing in a really bad situation is there were several interventions. I think they discovered it like 100 years ago or something. So at this point, there are a lot of ways that people live with it, and so manage it. So it's kind of like a managing palliative care, not an end of life palliative care, but I'm going through a managing palliative care kind of lifestyle.
Still
Um,
today.
yeah, so I've been through, so this was early 2021. So now we're in the 2nd year of COVID lockdown. And by July, I'm on a medication that helps suppress the tumor growth and manage symptoms. So I was having all types of symptoms like,
I can only imagine.
um, and a lot of, and now I'm starting to lose weight, like you see that cancer wasting happening. And there's fatigue as well, which is one system. So that's affecting my abilities to work out and stay strong, eating. It all kind of compiled. It's not just one thing, and people are just all
Yeah.
of a sudden skinny, you know? But by June, by the summer, they realize that I have a heart problem, which is sort of spurred on by the tumors, the amount of
Yeah.
tumors, and a hormone that they secrete. And this can cause scar tissue in the body. And for me, it caused scar tissue around my heart valves. So they do all these tests, and I'm having extreme edema in my legs. My legs are like elephant chunks, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to cut you open. Um, so that's July, and by October, I had my first surgery, which was open heart surgery, and I had my heart valves replaced.
Oh, Denosh. I didn't see that
Yeah.
coming. Girl, I was about to say, we were about to interrupt each other, I was about to say, you making waves, bringing awareness, and talk about the cancer.
Oh,
I
oh
didn't
yeah.
know about
Yeah.
open heart surgery and changing of valves.
Yeah. So it's not always normal, but
Oh my God.
unfortunately, so there's this thing we know about the hormone like serotonin. And so there's gut serotonin, there's brain serotonin. So you want serotonin for your brain, but you don't want an overproduction of serotonin in your gut. And that's where the tumors are doing their thing and
Mm-hmm. Thriving.
secreting all these, yeah, these tumors, these hormones from the tumors. And so they check your heart. And I was like, what you gotta check my heart for? What happened is it creates like scar tissue. So it made the valves like more rigid, and they wouldn't close properly. So then I had leaking. I had like a leaky valves,
Heart. Mm-hmm.
which is, yeah. So unfortunately there's no solution for it. And the only solution for in that particular case is to replace them.
To
Uh
God be the glory that we are on this call right
yeah.
now.
God is
Oh my
good.
gosh.
Yeah, I mean, they caught that at a good time. We were able to make a plan. I had a rock star surgeon. I have the most amazing cardiologist, and they just really took care of me. And the surgery was successful. Um, but there was still an issue that tumors were growing, and so you can see
Yeah.
my
Your scar. Your
yeah,
battle wounds. Yeah.
my battle wounds. Um, they so the tumors were still growing, and there was like this, well, what should we do first? And my cardiologist was like, look, we don't fix her heart, there's not gonna be reason for no radiation, so we gotta save this girl's life first.
Mm-hmm.
Then so it takes about 6 weeks for the bone, for the rib cage to fuse back together. And then I think, so I cleared that, and I had to go through rehab at some point, because I was like rail
Oh,
thin, and I
oh
just
my
lost all this
gosh.
weight. Um and then at the earliest possible next, what am I trying to say? As soon as I could, I went through radiation, and that is a year-long process. You have 4 sessions, and that is to shrink. That's to shrink, work on the actual cancer, the actual
Mm-hmm.
tumors.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some shrinkage. It was successful. It doesn't get rid of them. It just kind of, like what they say, is turns the clock back. So everything that they have for me, the plan for me is to turn the clock back and
Mm-hmm.
give me
Mm-hmm.
as much time as possible.
Wow.
And so far, I've just done those two. I'm actually getting ready to do another round of radiation. They've discovered that some tumors are growing again. Not sure why yet, but so I'm going to go through another round. And I'm grateful because I'm still a candidate. Not everyone's a candidate for everything. So I'm not a surgical
Right.
candidate. I have too many tumors. If they were to try to cut them out, like, I'd be left with like no liver.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough to grow back. Like, you need a certain amount to be able to
For it to be able
function.
to.
So they,
Yep.
yeah, or you'd have no liver function, like they'd just be. So I don't have that as an option.
Mm-hmm.
So I have other interventions that I look for. But it's been an interesting journey. I made a really good recovery. And so coming out of 2021, COVID is open. The world starts to open again.
Mm-hmm.
And, the boss calls, and we're about to see if we can start doing some shows, because it's been dry and everyone's eager to get back to work. And I just don't know what I can do. So slowly I do a show, I do a show, I do a show. And I spend the next year in rehab preparing my body. And by the grace of God, I was able to join the tour a year later, or to start the tour started October of 2022. It wasn't easy, but I was able to do it. And
Girl, you are,
then
hold on, because you just, you know, you're talking, you're speaking as if this is so fly by night. So like,
no, we
no,
could
I
talk
don't
for
mean it in a
hours.
negative way. I'm saying
Yeah,
it like
yeah.
you are blowing my socks off. The resilience, the
Oh,
overcoming, like it's just so much. And you know, you're telling your story. So you're just saying it, but
yeah.
my mind is going in a million
Wait,
directions. Like,
huh? What?
hold on,
Yeah,
cancer, open heart surgery, back on tour. Like, to get your body to the resilience and the courage, it's all the adjectives for you to be
yeah.
able to work your way back onto a stage.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that was
I
definitely a
just
feat because when I sat with my team, that was the goal. Like we didn't even know, but that was they're so lovely because they're like, we want to know who you are and what's your life like and what was your life like before this. And they knew that I was a high level performer and that I toured on these big stages and I did big work
around the
on these
world.
stages around the world. And as much as they don't know what touring life looks like, they could only imagine. And they know it's big. So obviously the goal is first to get me healthy and to take these steps forward to get me there. That's the goal. But you know, my nurse came to one of the shows and my cardiologist, they both came to my first shows back. And my nurse, I remember he took me aside, he was like in tears. He's like, I remember this conversation. Like, he's like, I'm not even gonna lie. He said, I wanted you to get here, but I didn't think you were going to.
Girl, it's a
And
testimony. That's why I'm like, I'm sitting here, my heart is racing listening to you. Like,
yeah,
this is such a testimony.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it was a lot of hard work, but my body, I think, you know, I've always cared about my body. I've always invested in the food that I eat, you know, my spiritual life, just everything. I've always like looked after myself. And I guess my history of being, you know, a dancer and an athlete definitely played into it because my body was still strong, you know, like it was still capable, but there's this tricky balance, like how much do you push and but again, I just every time I cleared a level, I was like, okay, we'll try to get to the next one. And I remember my first night on stage, I almost not collapsed, but there's a part of the show where I've got to do. It's the end of this. It's like it's the singer's number, and we all get our little solos. And I remember getting so sick or like lightheaded or something, and I just danced my way down to the floor and was just like
You're like, baby, I'm
just
gonna make it look
rocking on the
good.
I was just rocking on the floor and I was just like, I have to be careful when I get up and I slap my hands down and I just push my body up. And then with everything I had, I was just like, just don't pass out. And I managed to make it back to the riser. And thank goodness the show was a combination of like sitting on the stool. And then at some point, the musical director was like, you don't have to do that number. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do it up here. I'm feeling like a little wobbly. So I took that out of my off my plate and I did a different version from my thing. And then slowly when I felt stronger, I came back and I was like, okay, I'm gonna come down just for the solo. And then by the next leg of the tour, I was down and I was just back. And it felt amazing because I really didn't know, you know what I mean? There's so many unknowns. Like you're like, am I gonna live? Is my heart gonna give out? Whatever. But I was like, if I can't do this, I didn't know what my identity was. I didn't know, you know, and I was just
It's been your whole
like,
life. It's been your whole
it's been my
life.
whole life. It's been my whole life. So that was another thing. But I don't know. I just kept fighting for it. And I think if my body wasn't capable, I would have had to, I mean, I wouldn't have had a choice. I think
Yeah.
now when we talk about like, where are you now? What are you into? I'm definitely trying to shift because I actually want to I just want things easier. I don't want to fight so much to have to maintain this thing. I have nothing to prove to anyone. I think
You
whatever
sure
I
don't.
did have
Not
to
with your
prove,
resume.
I think what I
Okay.
did have to prove, I feel like I proved it to myself, and that was the most important thing. I know that my boss has the most confidence in me. I mean, bless his heart, he would just grab my hand every night or give me a. He just like hugged me like this, just always giving me these little nods of encouragement and just be like, "You're my hero. You're a rock star." Like I don't even know. And the first time he asked me when I had to tell them that I had this disease, and he was just like he's like, how are you even here? Right? Like, what are you like?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
And I like, honestly, I don't have anything else to do, you
Yeah.
know? So I feel like I've done all that now. And I'm just like, actually, I just want to be easy. And I love teaching and I love giving back. And I love
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
taking what I've learned and sharing that with people who are either not going to get the opportunity to do it. I don't mind making someone's life or journey a little bit easier. I'm not going to do it for them, but if I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you something, I wish somebody sat us down and was like,
Oh my gosh.
oh, let me just give you one morsel of advice,
Something.
you
Let me
know,
drop a gem. Let me just drop a
just
gem.
just one, you know.
Denosh
So
Bennett.
yeah,
Girl, I
so
got
that's
way
me.
more than I bargained for on
I
today.
know it was good. It
What
was a good catch
a
up.
story. I
Oh,
miss
thanks,
you.
honey. I miss you too.
I'm
We gonna
so
see each other
glad to see
soon.
you. I was gonna say we come on. This is we staying connected here. I'm not even concerned about that. We are
Absolutely,
staying connected. What a
absolutely.
story. What triumph, overcoming, the diligence. Diligence keeps coming up as just like
Hmm.
the consistent working from 13, from 14. It is
Yeah.
how the reputation you built, hello, speaks, right? The fact that you kept getting the work, you kept getting called back in the same spaces. You
Hmm.
obviously built a tremendous reputation for yourself to be able to do that, and you had to be diligent. The kids need to hear that. Because baby,
Mm.
listen, no shade, Gen Z. I don't want y'all coming for me. They want
Right.
everything for nothing. Oh my gosh. They want
But you
everything
know
for
what?
nothing.
It's not their fault. It's not. I think we're
It's
blessed.
not.
The gener. I mean, you don't have to remain in the dark and remain entitled, but and not, but I think like I always say, I'm so grateful to have been born when I was born because I am the beneficiary of, I mean, the people that came before me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still in a place where like you know what I mean? Like me and my friend were talking about this the other day and I was just like, I was saying something and I was just like, and none of these people cared. I was like, I'm giving my heart and nobody cared. Nobody cared
Mm-hmm.
how hard it was to do like, and you're here out here giving yourself and you're like standing on the shoulders of people and you're like, this is what they taught me and I couldn't. And these kids are just like doink, 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 like hard blink. And you're like, those values. I
Mm-hmm.
think we're so lucky
Mm-hmm.
because I think
So
after
important.
us and maybe like, your generation and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
all, and everything that I am and that I have. And I truly believe, regardless of what happens with social media and tech and like how things evolve, I just feel like those are tried and true standards. Like
Mm-hmm. Come on and
experience,
say it.
doing, staying in it, belief in yourself, like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't
Girl,
know.
I am
I'm
so
just,
proud of
like I
you.
said, and I'm happy about when I look back for every experience. Um, like now, actually, Lori and I, again, we don't talk a lot, but we're DMing more on Instagram, and it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
I'll never have nothing but love for her.
Mm.
All those times that I did see Diddy afterwards, you know, I was like, you're just you, and you're just you, and I'm okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was never really any shade. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like,
My
not that he was,
experience.
not that he really cared, but it was just like, I've moved on. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
he would see
Mm-hmm.
me in these different spaces with other artists, and I'd be like, "What up?" I'm not holding grudges.
Yeah.
Any of that, any of
Yeah.
that, any of those people, all the girls. Like I talked to so many people. Cowie's been in touch recently. Like,
Yep.
my
Yep.
heart is just so open, for all those girls. I think I'm gutted to know the journey that Aubrey went on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not whatever she chose, because that girl is a smart girl. She's
Mm-hmm.
too smart. That girl's
And I
such a
hear that
smart,
from so many
ambitious
people who are
girl.
connected to her that she's brilliant.
She was so smart. I had so much respect for her, and I was like one
Mm-hmm.
of her biggest fans. I wanted to make
Mm-hmm.
sure she made that band, and
Yeah.
so I even feel like whatever happened in the show, she was just trying to do what she was being groomed to do and being told to do. There's nothing personal to me, you know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
asked me,
Girl,
you did mention quickly about Kelly.
I was gonna say, if I don't ask these two questions, the subscribers will come for my head. They will have my head. Kelly
Go
said
ahead.
that she apologized to you. She said she saw you at some point some years later, and because she didn't appreciate how she felt taken advantage of by the producers of the show and the kind of way they edited her down. But she said she loved you. She saw you in a big sister light, and she hated the way you were portrayed, and that she apologized to you at some point at some event. Do you
Yeah.
remember this?
Yes.
Oh my
You
gosh.
know, the funny thing is first of all, I always loved her. I think from when I saw her, I just thought, again, when you're looking for like, I'm like, ooh, tall, pretty girl. She was thick, like thick. You know what I mean? She had them hips.
Yeah.
She was not dancing was not her forte, but she could sing. Like I just felt like I was like, oh, I rock with her, on a lot of levels. And yeah, we got into it. I was watching. I had recorded some VHS stuff, and I had it all transferred to like a USB stick. And I was watching to see what was on there. And there's a scene of me in the van, and I guess I'm coming back. We're coming back from. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
First of all, I was like, Denosh, you sound crazy because whatever. I was living in New York and I had my little New York version of me. I am over it. And I'm just like, bullshit, bullshit. I'm so
I
mad. I'm
cracked
so
up.
mad. I was like, Denosh, what? But I remember at that point being so annoyed because at that point I was just like, I think everyone's switch had been flipped. Like we were all crazy and we didn't know why. It was like they was literally putting something in the Kool-Aid. And it was just nonsense everywhere. And the producers, I don't know what they were doing, but it was just like I was just getting it from everywhere. And I was just like, has everyone lost their mind? Like I felt like such an alien. And from that day on, I just wanted to escape. I wanted to leave. Um, so fast forward, we're in the hotel room, right? We come back and we're watching this show for the first time, and we're sitting on the bed. Were we in two rooms? We don't think we were all in
I
the
think
same
so.
room. Yeah.
I think so.
And so Kelly's in my room with me, or we're in the same room. And this thing pops up and she's running her mouth about me. And I'm like, and everyone in the room's like, and no one, and she's
Mouth
like,
on the
and I
floor.
think she's behind me. I think I'm at the front of the bed. And I was just like, and she's terrified. Everyone's mortified. Everyone's embarrassed. But it wasn't just, it wasn't just her. Like that was her actually on Denosh.
Absolutely.
She
Yep.
thinks
Yep.
she's does whatever she said. And then it was like, some of the Aubrey's. There's just all the things that they had edited. And I was just like, okay, okay. So anyway, fast
They
forward.
did
And
a
even that
thing.
night, they did a thing. And I was like, you guys just like nobody had my back. Like you all just fell for it. Like, but also I'm like, I don't know what the question was and how you would have. It seemed like it sounded like it was quite direct, but you were giving your opinion of something about me and it was just lies. It was straight. Even if I was like bossy, was I really bossy? What was the context?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Fair. Fair.
for someone who I thought saw me and for someone who I thought we had so many genuine moments, it kind of hurt. But I was also at that point I was over it. I was like, can we make this band? Can we can go home? Because I
Yeah.
just want to go home. So anyway, she apologizes, and I'm like, it literally was like, girl, we're good. I never cared. Like I never was.
Yeah.
It was, but she was so, and I get that. I get
Yeah,
that.
and she put that across when we met. When we talked in our interview, she said that. She said she was
Yeah.
broken up about it, and that she apologized from the bottom of her heart, and it affected her.
Well, because but
Um.
what can you do? We have no power in those situations, and we lost touch. But then we were on socials, um, again for a while. I think she changed her name or something. I think I was doing her
Yeah.
artist thing.
Yeah.
She's always been very spiritual and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
was
A
like,
beautiful voice.
if you're happy, I'm thrilled. Like I really wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't carry any of
Yeah.
that. I had
Yeah.
PTSD from the experience and from the show, and like just then walking around New York City being called out and being made fun of, and my
Yeah,
inbox,
absolutely.
my MySpace inbox was pretty vile. So
Whew.
those things hurt
Okay,
me more. Yes.
and I also had to ask you who was going to be your band.
Oh, my
Back
band.
then, who was going to be your band?
If I mm,
And you know I ain't got to be in it. I want the
no,
people
no,
to know the
no.
real what was
I
going to be in your
mean,
band.
I wanted a black girl band, but I knew that wasn't gonna happen.
Everybody.
I think it was Black Girls and Kelly. Because also I had a really good relationship with Dawn. I had a really good relationship with Dee. I had a relationship with you, me, and then it would have been one more. I know, I think it was Taquita. I think I was like, this works for me. I felt
Okay,
like
I
I
heard
felt
Dawn,
vocally.
D Woods, Dominique, Taquita, and Denosh. But if they wasn't gonna let you have an all black girl band, you would have threw Kelly in the mix. I love
Yes.
it. I
Yes.
love it.
I think that would have been my band. Also, I just felt like, and this wasn't again anything, but like it had to always be choreography. But I knew between me, Dawn, and Dee, there was a strong dance base. I saw
Oh, no question.
what you could
Y'all were some of the
do
strongest dancers there. My
vocally.
gosh.
You were gonna be the, you know, you were gonna be the thing. And and Kelly had that. Kelly was a black girl.
Come on and say it.
Kelly was a black girl. Kelly was a black girl.
Listen,
So
this has been such a key.
but also, and then for me, like, okay, I was again thinking sort of tallish girls. So I think when more like visually, I think it would have been Kelly. I think it would have been Kelly, Taquita. I don't know if they would have put me and Taquita in a band together again because like the whole dark skin thing. I thought maybe D Woods. Um, who else was there with us in the end?
I mean, those are good. Those are good
I don't
ones.
know. Like I was a tall girl. Like it was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so you think about the visual.
Yeah, in the end, I mean, the tall girls, Chelsea and Jennifer had gone early. So tall
Yeah.
girls were you, Kelly, and Taquita in the end. I
Yeah.
think Dawn's got a little bit of height to her.
Yeah, she's slim, so
but
she looks. Yeah, she would have been taller, but
those were the tall girls that were left. Because I believe that it was then me, Andrea, Melissa, maybe Jasmine. I think that might have been it. Yeah, I think that
Jasmine would have been in the group too. It would have been a black
Jasmine
girl.
was talented.
I felt like we covered vocals on all the different vibes, so I was quite happy with that.
And Jasmine was giving those looks. I mean, my gosh, she was gorgeous.
Yes, yeah.
It is, not was, but like,
yeah.
My gosh, what a time we've had. Girl, we done did this thing for almost 3 hours. I just want you to know. That's how much fun. I told you I try to make the space because you never know where it is going. You have given me everything and more. Everything and more. I'm so grateful for this time together.
You're so welcome.
I am so
sorry, I just want to say one little thing that I found out later. This is after I moved to LA, not too long after. A friend of mine met this is more to the editing thing. A friend of mine went out somewhere and happened to meet the person that was responsible for editing me. And that person admitted, I don't remember how the conversation came up, but he came home. Also, it was my ex, but he came home and he's like, "You never guess who I met." And he told me, this girl told him that it was her job to edit me. And she felt horrible. Um, but it was her job. And they basically were like, she's not giving us anything. She keeps to herself. She's kind of friends with everybody. She's just kind of neutral. They like, it's boring. I was boring, apparently.
And so they said, let's go Cruella DeVille on them.
They said, let's edit this and make her. And I was really hurt. And I was just like, but I was also like, wow, like because I could see the edits, but I was like, why? Like I literally just wanted to do my thing. And so,
and there was enough of us on there bringing plenty of drama. Like,
no,
there are a lot of people.
But I think I think they wanted to attack.
That's so crazy though that your ex would run into that specific person
and didn't know her. Like they was just with a bunch of people, and then I don't even remember how it came up. Or maybe they asked like, "Oh, you like maybe like, girlfriend, how'd you come here? And he was like, oh yeah, my girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
Denosh. And I think something like that. And then he was two girls like, and she straight up just said, yeah, actually. And she said it was
Oh my.
pretty bad. And they're like, 'cause she always wanted to go home. And I was just like, 'cause I was like, I couldn't wait till we were off the clock. We were done
Let
shooting.
me just
I
hop
was
on the
just
train
like,
and go to
I could
Brooklyn.
just keep trying. I just be home in 2 seconds. And I remember after that, after they made the band, I was exhausted and relieved because it was
Yeah.
over. I just wanted it to be over. And I remember talking to producers and I telling them, like I think they wanted me to, I think we all to stay the night or something. I was like, I'm going home. Like, oh, we got to check. I said, do what you want. I'm getting in the
I'm going
cab.
home.
And then one of the producers or PAs walked me downstairs and put me in a car and sent me over the
Oh
bridge.
my gosh.
And I went and slept in my bed that night and I cried the minute I got in the door. I
Oh,
cried, I cried, I cried, I
I can
cried.
only imagine.
I sobbed from
Girl,
relief.
the devastation.
I was relieved. I was like, oh God, this is the torture. Torture. I was so
Wow.
happy. Yeah. That was that. That was that.
Listen,
The end.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you came and joined me on Storytelling with
Oh,
Dominique
thank you for
Renee.
asking me. I know we've been trying to make this happen for so long.
Yeah, girl, it's been almost
Um,
a year in the making, but I knew it was coming. I knew it
Jeez,
was coming.
yeah,
I knew it was
yeah.
coming. I'm patient and I knew it would be as good as it was. You are really tremendous, a living
Oh,
legend.
thank you. I'm so proud of
And
you for
I'm so
doing this.
grateful.
And it's
Yeah, I'm
bold and
having the time of
it's
my life.
good. It
It's so
looks like you
wild.
are. It really looks
You
like
couldn't
you
have
are. I
told
watch
me. You
everyone.
couldn't have told me that I would like leave behind my 17-year career as an educator, as a founding school principal, and come back
When
into
did
this
you,
calling to use my
sorry,
voice
I
in
know
this
this is
way.
about me, but like, or us, but
Yeah.
when did you, so after, 'cause I think I saw this, but then I didn't, I'm just refresh my
Yeah.
memory. When did that begin for you? How long
Teaching
after?
2004 years after. So
Okay.
I finished so let's see. We finished making the band. Diddy offers me a deal almost immediately. Andre
Mhm.
Harrell secretly, he's in that meeting, but then he secretly tells me not to take the deal because he wants me to sign with him. He's trying to revive Uptown Records
Right.
and like have me be his Mary J. Blige. I trust Andre. Andre ghosts me months later. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what to do, but let's try to do something with this momentum. I leave college at the end of sophomore year, move back to New York. Girl, a random person from MySpace sponsored me and gave me $100,000, no strings attached. I'll tell you more about that later. And I used that money to like get a publicist, all the things you were talking about, to get
Yeah.
myself out there, etc. I had a manager, and so I was in the industry, and I realized it was a crazy place, and I hated it, and I was depressed, and I was like, none of this is about my talent, my singing, and my. I was like, what's going on? It was crazy. It was crazy. And so I ended up in a meeting with Atlantic, another deal on the table, and the A&R was tremendous, explained things to me that nobody else was willing to about the real ins
Mm.
and outs of a music contract. And like the next day, I called my entertainment lawyer. I said, I'm out of here. Can you get me out of all these contracts without me owing nobody any money? And I went back to Maryland. I re-signed back up for classes, got me a regular old job at the Princeton Review, and graduated from college. I didn't even open my mouth to sing for a long time. I was so jaded. And
Wow.
yeah, it was really, it's so much trauma, so much trauma. And my ex-boyfriend was pushing me like, you gonna let them take your, like, okay, you don't have to do the industry, but your talent is your talent, and you love singing. And so he was able to kind of help me get over that.
Mm.
And
Are you
then
still singing?
I'm still
You
using my
still?
voice. I will say
Okay.
I absolutely still sing. I can never lose that. It like you
Yeah.
talked about, like it is something that God gave me that I'm so grateful for. But it's so I went into education for 17 years. I randomly started teaching with the organization I had been a student at as a kid and fell in love. You know, I got into it. I was good at it. I'm in my community doing the work for my community. So I had a really good run. And then in 2023, you know, life just happens. You look up and you're like, first of all, this career is killing my health. Like I'm dying. You know, like
Stressful.
this is the most high powered thing you could be doing. You know what I mean? Like it's crisis management 24 hours a day, it felt like. And I was like, I got to do something else. I got these kids. I had my twins. I wasn't giving them and my family enough time. My life was school. My life was work.
Mm.
And I didn't know how things needed to change, but I knew they needed to change.
Yeah.
And then a series of odd events happened all around each other. And now I'm here. I've left my job. I've left New York City. I have started this, this content creation, my YouTube show. I'm using my voice. I'm using my
Again,
voice. I'm writing a book about it because my life is a movie. I'm starting with
yes.
a book and hopefully it's going to be a movie because there's that many wild twists and turns. And I still do ed consulting
Yeah.
because I got to get to that bag. But
Right.
girl, my life, whole 360 from last year, 180, I
You're
guess you would
still
say. But
20 years old, and I can't. You're still 20 years old. My sweet little
listen, yep. You treated me like
singing,
gold back then. You're
singing
treating me
Deborah
like gold
Cox,
right now.
singing Mary J. Blige. Like you just said, you were so
Come on.
iconic. You were so iconic. And
That
no,
means so much to
seriously,
me.
no, because you're every like I hate to say it, but you were just like you are the fight. You were the fight. And everybody could
Yeah.
see that. Everybody. It
Yeah.
didn't matter that you were this short, dark-skinned black girl, but they made this story like you got this voice, but you gotta get this dancing together.
Uh-huh.
Like you're not gonna be nothing without that. And it was just like, really? Can we just it's Dominique. Like,
Yeah.
just give her
Yeah.
Dominique gets a blind because she's so special. And you are.
Thank you.
And girl, yes, you got to write that book, tell that story. This storytelling
Yeah.
is amazing. I am always like, ooh, was she okay? But it's always a teaser that I catch, and I'm like, oh, okay, gotta wait for the story. But
Yes.
I love your joy. I love your joy in doing it because you want to tell the stories and you want to share a good thing. You want to share the good things and
Mm-hmm.
give people a
That's the
platform.
one. I'm so
And
glad you see that because it
that's
has been with all the negativity. There's so much craziness happening around
yeah,
making a band, around Diddy, around the world.
yeah,
I really like this space for me is a space of joy. I
good.
want people to come in here and feel the love and pop their popcorn and watch us and relate
Yeah.
and have some nostalgia and shed a
Hmm.
tear or two when they have those when there are these intersectionalities with their own lives, right? Because we
Yeah,
all have stuff. And so I'm
yeah.
just so glad that you see that that's what I'm trying to do because it is. It
Well,
is.
I was reluctant at first. And you're like, well, let me tell you what it is. I was like, girl.
Yeah,
Um,
because the people are
and
also fishing.
so
Like I did an interview recently with a producer, and and he was a bad boy producer, all that stuff. Adonis, Adonis, he
yeah,
won the show with us.
yeah.
After the cameras cut, he
Hmm.
talked about how much it mattered that I wasn't doing this like, were you da 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 with
Yeah,
Diddy? Like, we're
yeah,
gonna touch on those things, but that's not why we here, baby. I'm not a tabloid.
yeah,
I'm not,
yeah, yeah.
I'm not page six. Like, I'm out here
Right.
really trying to give flowers, bring the joy, shed light, and give out that
Yeah.
nostalgia. You know?
Well, thank you for creating a safe space because I think for me, I ran from it. As I said, it took a long time for me to just even be able to talk about it with other people and not feel traumatized from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then like I said, I had to go back into the industry and face my peers. And it wasn't like with maybe some of the girls who they just went back home to their lives or they didn't continue
Mm-hmm.
to pursue it or I was like, oh, everyone's hi, yes, it's me, I'm back, and yes I tried to make the band, and yes I just like that
Yeah.
wasn't as hard but it's a difficult thing to do. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've literally like left it in the past, and so like not even watch these videos, nothing. And it's the only
Yeah.
random person who's like, wait, are you not from making the band? And then I started like, oh my God, I loved you. You were my favorite. And I did not like the way that they tried to do you, girl. And
Yeah.
little bits. And so when this came up, I was just like, oh, because
Understandably.
there's all these shows, and my sister watches like all of them where, they talk about all these reality shows and they do that. And again, ours was early days. So I don't think, I think when there was stuff that comes up with Danity Kane, some of the residue can kind of linger, but really not a lot, not enough for me to
Yeah.
go, you know, um,
Yeah.
and I'm just like very happy and sad because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot there too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's never been on my radar to talk about anything. So I think I actually needed this. So thank you, because it kind
Oh
of
my
gives
gosh,
me
girl, that
a
warms
good
my whole
version.
soul up.
Yeah, it gives me a good version of closure. Because sometimes you just, well, I moved on. But you moved on because you had to, or but not in the way that feels like it was your decision or felt like, I felt like I was
Mm-hmm.
running from the fire. And
Yeah.
that's how it
Oh,
was in my head. But maybe again, like as I
whew.
said, a lot of people actually didn't care, but some people did,
Yeah.
at least enough
I
to
left
blow
with
up your
some trauma for
your
sure.
DMs
Yeah. And most
and
of the
talk
women I've
crazy.
spoken with
Yeah.
have, some residual trauma from that experience. And nobody, it's so interesting. Nobody has like crapped on what we got to experience. Like people are like, hey,
Yeah.
I know who Diddy
We
was, and
know
I know
that.
what that
Yeah.
opportunity was for me.
Hmm.
And there two things can be true at once. That it was
Yes.
one of the biggest opportunities in my life, and that there were aspects of it that were traumatic, that gave me
Yeah.
PTSD, that whatever, right? And so I've appreciated being able to hear the full spectrum of that from
Yeah.
everybody.
Because we
Yeah.
also never
I'm just
got that, yeah, that space to share. I think I shared individually with
mm-hmm.
some girls, but not so much, yeah, like what they've been up to or and sometimes I think about some girls and, you know, it's all over the place, but every girl in that space was just absolutely lovely and was there for a purpose. And,
Mm-hmm.
if any of you guys are watching this, I personally just, my heart goes out to you. I miss that fun thing that we had, like that. Just we
Mm-hmm.
were all in this together, rooting for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope everyone's doing well.
Oh,
I really do.
Denosh. That's it. That's what we end on. That's so beautiful. I love you. I'm
I
so
love you
glad that we had this
too.
time. This
Me
ain't the last that people gonna
too.
see of us.
No, no,
But I am
absolutely
just
not.
grateful that you came and graced the storytelling with Dominique Renee.
No
We will be in
worries.
touch very soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my love. Again, I'm so
All
proud of
right.
you.
I'm often left speechless after some of these conversations because, baby, you don't know people. You think you know people. You think you know people's story because social media is a thing, because you've seen them on TV, on stages, in a music video, because they go to your church. Like, you think you know people's stories. And one of the things I'm coming to realize is the purpose of storytelling with Dominique Renee is shedding light on how much we just don't know about other humans and hopefully bridging a gap, right? Like, it's so much wild stuff going on in the world today. I'm not even, okay? We're in a world war, okay? But there is something about learning about other human stories that bridges a gap, that fosters connectedness, that I believe crosses races and backgrounds and class and religion and gender. Like, I really believe just hearing the unadulterated truth of someone else's life, I think is medicine. 'Cause that's what that felt like to me. I mean, oh my gosh. Here I am thinking, I need my girl on here so I can let the people know she ain't no villain. That was like a big piece of what was in the back of my mind coming into this interview. Because I think I'm a savior. I mean, it's a complex, right? And I'm always trying to help people and heal people. That's just part of my makeup. But man, the interview ended up being about so much more. So much more. Y'all, speechless. That's where I be. I'm so grateful that I had that time with Denosh. And I hope that you got something out of it. I don't know who in your life is battling a thing you may or may not be able to see, a thing that may be common, a thing that may be rare. But my goodness, if they don't have a testimony in this story, something to inspire them to keep on pushing, to get to the next treatment, to get to the next day, baby, listen, then they weren't listening. Oh, I am coming to love this so much more. Like, I am enjoying this work. Let me be clear. God is being very, very, very clear with me that this is the work, that this is what I need to be doing right now. But every day I come to love it more when I find a whole new purpose, There's a whole new thing every time I talk to someone. Every time I react to a video, every time I tell one of my own stories, every time, which is how everybody should know. Ain't no story like a Dominique Renee story, because the Dominique Renee stories be changing my life, and I'm Dominique Renee, so I can only imagine. Okay? I hope it's touching you and your people too, okay? I love y'all. Oh my gosh, do I love this, what we are doing. Peace.